another episode of HPCritical, a podcast where my friends and I talk all things gaming and anime sometimes, and maybe even movies. Who knows? We just talk a lot of shit.
We do.
And today, I am joined by Brandon,
Hey guys, what's up?
Gabe,
Good evening, humans.
and Kellie.
Hi, everyone. It's not Friday, but it'll be okay.
It's not Friday, but by the time you listen to this, it will be either Friday or after Friday, depending on my life.
So either way, you're good.
Only listening, Kellie is dressed as a Hufflepuff today, and it's super adorable.
I
And now
support
I
it
have to
because
ask.
Hufflepuff is great.
Now I have to, obviously ask everyone's Hogwarts houses.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Hufflepuff, yeah.
Yeah, Hufflepuff for me as well.
What are you, Jerel? You go first.
No, you go first.
No, you go first.
Technically, it's still third.
All right, so I'm Gryffindor, although I'm really close to being Slytherin.
I figured
You're
you
one
were
of
a
those. You're one of
Slytherin.
those. Well, I took the Pottermore test
So
six
did I.
different times, and 6 different times I got Gryffindor. So I am a true Gryffindor through and through.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
just like Pokemon, we're
You got
totally
even
split.
split.
Yes, I love it. Now I feel like I should be Slytherin.
You guys know
just
your
to
Patronuses?
fuck things up. I totally forgot what it was.
Mine is. It's
I
a ginger
forgot.
cat. Yeah, mine's a ginger cat.
I'm just gonna assume mine is a butterfly.
And what was yours, Brandon?
I forgot. I took
Oh.
the test ages ago.
I'm gonna have years
I got
to
the
go.
largest mammal on the planet. My Patronus is a blue whale.
Oh my god.
Nice.
I'm not even joking.
Bro. Hypothetically speaking, if you were in the Harry Potter world and you hit him with a blue whale, you would get like Dementors away for
Yeah,
miles.
the Dementors would just disintegrate.
Yeah.
They just turn to
like-
ash.
Yeah, 'cause
You wouldn't
we're-
even
we're
need to be
talking-
as good with it as Harry is, where he's able to move it around about. You just need to conjure it for a second and they're done.
Yeah, because we all took the test at the same time. It was in college. We're all taking the test. I'm like, oh yeah, let's check it out. And everyone's getting all these cute animals. Someone's like, oh my gosh, I got a unicorn. Someone's like, I got a horse. I got a badger. Someone got I think they got like a fox or something. I'm like, oh Gabe, what'd you get? I was like, I don't want to say it. And they're like, say it. I was like, I got a blue whale. They started making fun of me.
Foxes.
Hey, that ain't nothing to make fun of. That's the most efficient way to defeat with a lot of
That's what I'm
Dementors.
saying.
And now if it's one Dementor, it might be a bit excessive. It might be kind of overkill. But if you're in that situation where Harry was next to the frozen lake, then you know what? That's the ideal situation for your Patronus.
So I think mine was like a butterfly or an otter or some shit, but no one cares anymore. So first of all, but I'm gonna ask you guys, what you're playing and how you've been at the end of this podcast, because I have a
Yes.
lot of new stuff to go through with my lovely friends. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about actually was I don't know if you guys have actually seen this, but the game from Forbes, the title is called Game Developer, has some harsh words for Xbox Series X and S. And these are the guys who made A Way Out. And they were pretty
Joseph
famous
Fares.
for...
Joseph Fares, yeah.
Thank you. He's pretty famous for his comments during the Game Awards. It was during the Game Awards, right?
Mhm.
Do you remember?
Oh
when
yeah, it
he
was
said
during the Game Awards. Yes, he held up a middle finger just like this. He said, "Fuck the Oscars." That was his
It
exact
was-
words, and he repeated it like 3 times.
It was great.
And ever since he said that on the Game Awards, and of course he was there to talk about A Way Out. Ever since that, he's been invited to every single Game Awards. Jeff Keighley has made a point to now. Nothing he has done has been as hilarious or shocking since then, but he's always an entertaining guy to listen to whenever he comes onto the Game Awards. Honestly,
Well, that was before this latest statement by him, and
Mhm.
Ferris had this to say. And he was talking about the convoluted Xbox naming conventions. And he said, that's a fucking confusing name. What the fuck's going on with Microsoft? They're losing it, man. What the fuck is going on? Like Series S, X, Mex, Next. I mean, who knows this? Come on,
man.
madness. Call it
That guy's
Microsoft
great.
Box, and that's it. That's great, actually. They should just call it Microsoft Box. I agree.
he tells it
I
like
don't
it is,
know.
and that's what I like about him. Like he doesn't sugarcoat shit.
He says, I don't know. It's a total fucking mess. Trust me, even them, they're confused in their own offices. What is this XS? I don't know what the fuck. And he told that to IGN. I thought that was a great way to start the podcast off, because
Yeah,
I know that we've
that
always
sounds
talked
like
about-
him.
Yeah, we've always talked about the naming conventions for Xbox and how confusing it is, especially because I don't know if we actually brought this up, but there was that point where they sold out of the Series S. No, no, oh my God, they sold out of the old Xbox, the Xbox One S, I
The
think.
Xbox
Yes,
One
because
X.
of the yes,
Yes,
the
yes,
Xbox
One
during
One
the
X.
X
pre-orders.
because people thought they were getting Series X's. Oh,
Yeah,
what a sad
and
state of affairs.
part of me is like, wow, that's genius. Like, sell out of all your old consoles by confusing people enough that they buy the old one while also trying to buy the new one,
Right.
because then they're gonna
Right.
have to go buy the new one eventually anyway. And now you've just double dipped in one family, unless they return it. But I mean, how many people want to go through that hassle? Anyway, he says to call it the Microsoft box. How do you guys feel about the Microsoft box?
I don't.
Microsoft.
I like
I don't.
Microbox for short. I like that.
Microbox sounds cool. No, hold on. But I don't want the. Here's the thing. First off, let me just get this out of the way. I don't know if that was an actual name he wanted it to call. I think he was just like, this is so ridiculous that even something as
Yeah.
simple as this would be better. So I don't know if that was an actual like submitted name. But the second thing was, regardless of what they would call it, I do think that now they can't really get away from the Xbox branding specifically. Like whatever they would call it, the Xbox has to be in there somewhere. Otherwise, if they would call it like the Microbox, as cool as that is, that would there's so many people that would just like lose the plot at that point. I think. Like
The plot
I think
has been lost.
the fact that it's an Xbox system, there's I don't know, it's like once you establish a name, it becomes like it's hard to shake it off without losing some serious business along the way. And I don't know, considering that they're already having an uphill battle to face when it comes to like games and schools like that. I don't know if that's a risk that they can really afford to take.
Well, thanks, Brandon. I was totally just being an asshole and joking about it, but that was a very serious explanation, and I agree with everything you said. You can't change the name conventions now.
Yeah.
Gabe, did you want to? Do you
They
got
can-
an Xbox name?
They can
Do you
change
care?
the series
I don't have an
conventions.
Xbox name, but like I think it's at that point again. We're moving according to Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo. We're moving into that age of new gaming. I think it's okay to rebrand yourself a little bit because again it is confusing. The Xbox One S X and then you also have the Xbox Series X, and I think when we get to that point, fingers crossed, where you can buy an Xbox Series X in store, I have to think about it for a second, in store, because there's enough stock. You don't, for the sake of just making things easier, you don't want to, you don't want someone to go in confused like they did when they were ordering it online and ask, the employee for an Xbox One X, and all of a sudden they have the wrong system, whatever. So, I think if you want to move forward with, this new era of gaming, it's okay to change it a little bit. You can admit that your names are a little confusing and just, go off from there, do something new. I would agree. The Microbox, I feel like if they did name it that, they would have to make a smaller box. But
I
right
would
now,
totally be down for that. Have you guys seen the
An Xbox mini console would be interesting.
Yes, have you seen like mini PCs that are just like cubes, like or like GameCube style?
I have,
I would
yeah.
love an Xbox
There's
that's like
actually
a little.
I saw a video on Instagram. It was like I don't know if it was fan made, but like it was like a portable like Xbox. They didn't give it a name, but like it
Oh, I
literally
saw
flipped
it, and
up.
it like comes
Yeah,
out.
it flipped like a little
that's ugly.
handheld. It was ugly, but the thought is there. Like
It's not the same as a mini PC. Like I love mini PCs. I either
what are you
want a
talking about?
really
It's
nice,
Microsoft.
beautiful tower like that's glowing, or I want a small square that's like super cute. And I would love for it to be called a Microbox, patented by Kellie. There you go. It's done. Pay us, Microsoft. So
Funny.
speaking of being able to buy a Series X in store today, I know Gabe, you wanted to talk about this because today they had another wave of pre-orders, and for some reason, I don't know if it's because people still are just not buying Xbox as much as PS5s, or I don't know if it's the way that they're doing it, but it from what I saw, to me, it very much seemed like the Xbox Series X was way more available than the PS5 today. It was really weird. Like they had multiple times where the Xbox was available, not as a bundle, just as it is, and like you could just buy it as far as PS5, as far as I saw. It was just a bunch of bundles and nonsense. So Gabe, do you want to talk shit again?
Actually, really quick before I do, I was actually today, as I was attempting to buy the PS5, I was working a flight, and I'm in I'm inside the plane, whatever, and I'm moving bags with one hand and I have my phone in the other hand, and there's like a span of seconds. I think it was about 5 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, where in my head I was like, you know what? I talk so much about video games, and I have a computer that I play Steam games. I have a PS5. I have a Switch. I've never had an Xbox. Maybe if I switched my mind over to an Xbox, this would be a lot better. But that quickly went away because I just all of a sudden got mad again because GameStop and Walmart, for the life of them, can't figure out how to properly retail a new console to customers. And I get it. Having a website is hard. Having a store website is extremely hard. Times are still hard. We still have a freaking virus to deal with. But when someone has an item in their cart and they're already going through the checkout process, your item should not go out of stock. You have to be smarter than that. You have to put a small hold on the item, whatever it is, a time limit, 45 seconds, a minute, because first of all, your site's already running slow because of the heavy traffic. So that's number one. That's you figure that part out first. But then if I'm sitting there and I'm willing to pay you my money, and as soon as I hit checkout, you tell me your item is out of order, that's just I know me saying something isn't going to do anything about it, but if a genie came out of nowhere and gave me my 3 wishes, 100% at this time and moment, one of my wishes would be get GameStop and Walmart to figure out their shit online, because as much as people love buying from them and going to them to buy stuff, they fucking suck.
We've had so many options to purchase from them, and I just keep hearing every time so many complaints. It's like, how long do y'all have to do this before you eventually get better? And according to what you were telling us earlier, it just sounds like they've gotten worse, which is crazy. Like, reach out, learn from another company or something. Like at this point.
Like, and it's not that no one has figured it out, because Sony has their queues, and maybe the queues. The queues they're a long way. Yeah, but exactly. But they work. And Best Buy, from what Jerel was telling me, they give you the little grace period when it gets into your cart. And again, it's just, I know as a company, Walmart and GameStop, especially GameStop, because they were very close to being bankrupt. I know you want your money and you want it now. Call JT Wentworth, but also like.
I not sponsored.
Believe it or not, for however long we've been doing this podcast, I've been waiting for a moment to say that. Don't ask me why. I've just been waiting for a JG Wentworth moment. I don't know why, but yeah, again, I know you want your money, but you gotta. As weird as it is to say, especially in the times we live in, because we do live in corporate America, where corporate is
America.
No, honestly, yeah, fuck corporate America. But like, at least try to keep the facade that you wanna. What the hell is that word called? Oh, there goes my mind again. See, I used the word facade, and then every other smart cell in my brain just shut down.
You used it all up.
Yeah, you used all your vocabulary.
At least keep up the facade that you want to appease to your customers, and you want to act like you care about them. Bro, I'm telling you, once I use one small big word, I'm done. I'm done.
You're killing me. So I want to take this a little more personal for this next story and this next conversation.
Wait, can I say something really quick?
Oh yeah, sure.
It has to do kind of with the naming and with the new consoles before we switch over. I was thinking about this on my drive earlier. If PlayStation and Xbox ever coordinated like a hybrid console, would you think it would be called the PlayStation X or the Xbox Station?
First of all, 100% they'd be going with the PlayStation first. 100%.
Okay.
You always have to put only because you got to put your biggest product forward. More people, just like in general, more of the population has PlayStation than Xbox.
Okay.
So why would you not?
Yeah, it'd be like a PlayStation X,
or like the PS Xbox.
They can't call it the PS. Couldn't call it the PSX. So that's his thing.
If they call it the PS Xbox, it's gonna be the PlayStation Xbox. That's so
PSX is not happening anymore.
Probably not.
Is that still happening?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, well, Anyway, moving on, because I don't know either, and I don't want to spread false information. So I do want to get a little personal with you guys this time, with a story over from Polygon.com, written by Ashley Berry Biancuzo. I'm so sorry if I said your name wrong. And it's titled Breath of the Wild Zelda Broke the Mold and Helped Me Do the Same. Princess Zelda's self-determination helped me come to terms with my bisexual identity. I'm not asking you ready to come out on the podcast. But
but if you did, that would make for great podcast material. So
it sure would.
Guess which one of us happens to... Never mind. Never mind.
Don't start...
Anyway, so I wanted to read a part of this and ask if you guys, well, I'll get to it. So, at the beginning of the article says, quote, when it comes to the Legend of Zelda franchise, the Princess of Hyrule has a specific role in life that she must play. Not only does she embody the goddess of wisdom, but she's also royalty, so she's expected to be clever, poised, and traditionally feminine. Rarely does she want something different for herself, but in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Zelda struggles with the role she was born into. Unable to unlock her inner sealing power and meet her father's lofty expectations, the world seems to be against her at every turn. Despite these pressures, she finds sanctuary in her chosen family and her inner strength. That's why I relate to her as a bisexual woman. She helped me see my own worth and value. End quote. I'm not going to go on more about that. Also, I am not a bisexual woman. I'm reading this article. I'm not talking about myself. There's nothing. Never mind. So actually, I'm going to read a little bit more. A quote, it says, in the old games, Zelda was more like your stereotypical princess. Usually you'd find her dressed to the nines inside Hyrule Castle or trapped in some dungeon. In Breath of the Wild, Zelda's often outside in the fields, nerding out about a frog or a flower. As someone who loves to talk incessantly about some mind-boggling video game or thought-provoking book, I totally get it. I love sharing my passions with closer friends in the world at large. Whether she's learning about the local flora and fauna or the ancient guardians, knowledge is the thing that drives her and fills her with purpose. The more excited she gets about a new discovery, the faster she talks, but Zelda doesn't always feel comfortable expressing her authentic self. And that's the part I wanted to get to. So, and that's the end of the quote. You guys should also read the rest of the article for whoever's listening. Free plugs for Polygon. You're welcome. So I wanted to read that and ask you guys if there's ever been a character or an experience that has like just touched you in a way that made you realize something about yourself.
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
A deep one. I know.
I don't suppose anyone's got an example right off their head, do they? Because I actually do got to think about that. I actually do got to think about that because I'm sure, I am positive, like with all the years I played games, that I could think of at least a few examples that do it. But I got to think about that because I've played many games.
I can give you my 2 examples. One of them is
go ahead.
Sora. He's so annoying. But
wait.
Also, like,
continue.
That could be a little annoying, but
a little.
Also, just whoa.
Damn, dog pile.
Buddy. Yes, you see. But also Sora, just because he's a character who obviously is gay. I don't care what anyone says. You can tell me he loves Kairi. He's clearly in love with Riku, so I relate. But seriously. On a more serious note, Sora is a person who really just gets his power from his friends, and like he's all about friendship, and he's like the anchor to connect people together. And a lot of times I see myself as that personality that brings a lot of different people together for, a certain purpose. And I think throughout life, I found myself to be comparable to Sora in that sense, where I've kind of just brought all my friends together for, friendship and happiness and really good moments. And whether we disagree or we agree, it's always just like my power per se comes from my friendship in a way that I think Sora expresses. And he's always optimistic. And I try to be very optimistic. And I'm just like, look at this little annoying ass boy. I love him. So like, I'm a huge Sora fan because of it. Also, he's just like Haley Joel Osment's really cool. Just because, he's cool and like he's played as Sora, and it's got Final Fantasy, and it's got Disney, and it's just like the whole amalgamation of that. So I really relate to Sora in that way. That's why I have so many Kingdom Hearts tattoos. Oh my god, stupid Sora. And the other one is Takamaki from Persona 5, which I'm not going to spoil because I know that Gabe's playing through it, and he probably has not gotten there yet. But Brandon, I'm sure you know because I've talked about this before. I've written about this before.
We've talked about it. Yeah, you've written. Yes, that too.
She is a character who I've never seen a character in a video game that tackles certain situations in such a realistic way, and
Yes.
That really resonated with me because like the things that this girl goes through are crazy, but just internalizing things and feeling like everything's your fault even when it's not, and doing things to protect friends that are gonna hurt you in the end, and like the way that is just the way that is portrayed definitely helped me find out things about myself when playing the game, and that's why she will probably forever be my favorite character, despite all the other bullshit for her like personal story. That first part, I think, is the most, out of all those stories, is probably the most impactful because of the way that it was handled with this female character and the things that she goes through, and it's just like it was such a touching moment for me. I'm pretty sure I cried multiple times. I love On. And I'm done. Those are my 2 examples. You guys had time to think, so your turn.
Okay.
It's hard.
If you have, you don't have to have one.
No, like I feel like I probably could think of something more from like a movie or a book or something.
Yeah, for sure.
But like maybe not a game, because to be honest, I mean, I usually play like first person shooters. It doesn't really apply the games that I've played. God, am I really gonna stick with the Harry Potter theme right now?
Fuck yeah.
I mean, you're already there.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna say, I don't want to be so like lame, but I'm gonna pick Hermione Granger. Like, legit, I like a smart woman, but I do have problems with her being with Ron. Sorry, spoiler alert. What's wrong
disgusting. With gingers?
Same.
It's not,
no, it's
okay.
Ron. It's not.
It's
ginger,
not
it's
because he's a ginger. Okay, he looks all right, but he's like, he treated her like shit the whole time. Like, and then acts like, anyways, she should have been with Victor Crumb. I will die on that hill.
Whoa, okay.
I will die on it.
With you until that.
What?
Oh, wow.
Like,
wait,
no.
hold on.
I'm sorry, she had better pairings. She had way better pairings.
Now that it's processing in my mind, it's like, that would have been fine.
Victor Crumb.
No, if she had ended up with anybody.
It was really nice.
She wins in the
She was so sweet to Hermione.
But
yes,
she thought he was an
so
idiot.
nice. But I don't think that he was an idiot. He was just quiet. There was a language barrier.
Yeah, but
she thought he was an idiot.
That's what I mean. Like, she didn't like him. She should have been with Harry.
Honestly, I don't give a damn. I think she should have been with Neville.
I'm all about Harry and Ginny. I
that.
enjoyed that.
I don't know.
No,
I don't like Ginny.
Half-Blood Prince really helped me.
Ginny's so annoying. She's not
I feel like Ginny's really
no.
annoying.
She's
Big
such a
disagree.
throwaway character.
I just think that
Big disagree. Nah.
Hermione could have
The
had
movies
a
that are
really
bad.
good
The movies
life.
that are bad. If we're talking movie Ginny, I would have agreed with you, but book Ginny, nah.
Go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
Hermione could have had a really good life with Victor Crumb. I'm just saying that rich, I'm just saying, snitch getting money, whatever.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yes,
whatever. He could have provided well for Hermione. Anyways, she'll provide for herself. All right. But I'm just okay. I think that because whenever I went back to school, actually, I was like, I started rereading Harry Potter, and I was taking like these advanced math classes, and I was really struggling. And then I started reading Harry Potter, and I would pretend like I was doing arithmancy when I was doing math. And I actually did,
oh my god, yes,
did really good in math, Yeah. And I think like I just probably just relate to her more than anybody, just because like wasn't really, I don't know, she was just the smart one. It was really just, that's all it was. And like they saved her ass. She has male friends, which I always had male friends, whatever. I don't have any female friends, I don't feel like, so I mean I relate to that. But like the whole Ron thing, I just even any of the other people mentioned here, I'd be like, okay, yes, but not Ron. Like, yeah, she had other options.
I agree.
So that's the only thing. I think that was a disservice to the character. I know that's not what we're talking about, but I just want to make it known that's how I feel. But I think that would be the most relatable character that I can think of on short notice in a fantasy world. Probably her, just because she wasn't like afraid to be smart. She didn't care that she was a nerd. She just was like, whatever, I'm smarter than you, and I'm gonna get your ass out of trouble whenever I need to. And she did.
Yeah, I think her and Neville are really 2 great examples of being who you are.
Yeah.
Even more so than Harry, because he was trying to be everybody else. Don't argue this point with me. I don't want this to become a Harry Potter themed podcast, okay? Like, don't do it.
I love how it kind of already is.
Dude, hi everybody, and welcome to Hogwarts Mystery Podcast.
Where we talk so much shit about Harry Potter.
We could.
Good and bad.
And the trash ass author. What?
Oh, facts.
Oh, we've already had a podcast on that. Yeah.
So, Brandon, Gabe, on short
Yeah, I got one.
notice.
Yes, I did. I did think of two examples. One is example. I did come up with a game example. I'll say that one in a second. But I'll start with piggybacking on the Harry Potter thing because there is actually a character, and you mentioned him a second ago, Neville Longbottom, because specifically
You're
his
such a
transformation.
Neville.
Yes.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I
Oh
used
my
to.
God,
I used to
bro.
be okay. So
No, like, that's
both-
so good. I love Neville.
I love Neville too. I love him because I love his transformation throughout the books because, in the beginning, he had a really hard time expressing himself to anybody. Like, he had ideals, he had things he wanted to do, but he had a really hard time, like, connecting that. And that was very much me. Like, I was once upon a time incredibly shy. I could not get points across to save my damn life. But over time, high school where I took, like, band class, and then in college when I started taking, like, theater classes, I learned, and speech classes as well, I learned to really be able to express myself better. Now, I would still not say I'm like a big social butterfly. Like, if there's like a big party, I'm not exactly like a party person by any means, but I'm more okay with like expressing myself and stuff like this. I don't think I could do a podcast like this or stream if I didn't go through the same kind of evolutions that I did over my life, honestly. So
You're gonna make
I
Joe
respect-
cry.
I see it. Like, he has a yeah.
He literally had to walk away.
He's so overwhelmed. But all that to say, like, I enjoy Neville's journey. Like, in many ways, like, if you're really paying attention, like, the movies kind of did it, but not as much. But the books almost had him as like a secondary protagonist, because even while Harry was going through all his storyline things and the camera was kind of focused on him. I mean, camera is like in terms of with the book, whatever. You were also seeing how Neville was improving as a character. And it all culminated by the end where, he was kind of a badass by the very end. Now, I would not purport to say that I'm kind of a badass, but all that to say that he learned how to really express himself as he goes forward. And I feel like I'm still going on the journey. Like, I don't think anyone's journey is always necessarily complete by any means. Mine's isn't. But I like, I relate to him because he grows a character and, so did I. Now, that's my book and movie character. The second one is a bit more of a curveball because it is nothing like Neville Longbottom at all. Have any of you played the video game Catherine?
No, but I know all the characters.
Okay, so I didn't realize this until I bought Catherine like almost 2021, so maybe not a full decade, but it's a good years ago. The original version that was on PS3. That game, I think a lot of people can relate to that game if you play it because the main character, Vincent Brooks, he's like a middle-aged man, like, which is very uncommon, like a middle-aged man that just like he doesn't know where he wants to go in his life. Like, he has a girlfriend named Catherine with a K, but then in his life, a girl named Catherine with a C comes into his life, and
Wait.
both girls off. What's up?
Is this just
Yeah,
the
Catherine-
plot of Wuthering Heights?
I
Never mind.
don't know
Go on.
Wuthering Heights.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So each of these two Catherines offer a very different form of life for Vincent. Catherine with a C is very wild, spontaneous. Offers him a life where he can pretty much have complete freedom in whatever he wants to do. Whereas Catherine with a K offers him more of a life of like order because she wants to get married and have kids, like a rigorous lifestyle. And like on the surface, you may have an idea of like if you're playing the game, you might have an idea of which Catherine you want to end the story with. But throughout the course of the game, you get a lot of like decisions. Like, they just force like, would you rather this or this throughout the entire game. You're given all these like moral decisions. And then depending on how you answer, there's like a little meter that'll go either left or right depending on what choice you make. And then by the end of it, it's like, whoa, hold on. I maybe I wasn't this way. Maybe I was the other way. And here's the thing. The game actually at the ending will punish you for not being true to yourself. Like, if you had made up in your mind at the beginning of the game, I want to be with Catherine with a K, but all of your choice in the game skew toward Catherine with a C, but you still pick K, then Catherine with a K will look at you and like, no, this is not you. You're not being true to yourself. And then she just leaves your ass. Like, the Catherine that you choose that you did not make your choice according to will leave your ass at the end of the game if your choices didn't align with your choice. The only way to get the really good ending is to make all the decisions towards the Catherine you want. So, all that to say, that game taught me a lot about myself because as a young, I had a very idea of what I wanted for romance, but like going forward and playing the game, like I got like a lot of insight into me, and that actually helped me like understand myself better as a person, knowing what I would do in certain situations. Okay. And I really do want to play the Catherine Full Body, which is the new version that came out, because it has a third girl, which is completely different from the other two, apparently. And I don't know in what way. Rin, yes, Rin.
I know what way. Oh my god.
I have not looked up any spoilers. At some point, I'm going to play that game, and you know, it's going to be interesting.
I only know because it was a big deal at the time, and I'm not going to spoil you. But Rin is very different from Catherine and Catherine.
Okay. I would hope so. Her name is completely different.
Rin is a nickname, as far as I know. Like, apparently she's still a Catherine, but Rin is just like short. Yeah.
Rin's definitely someone. So
yes.
The reason that I literally was tearing up is because Brandon, I've known you probably for about 5 years now, and I've literally seen the progression that you're talking about. So like, it's very, like, when you said you're Nova, I was like, oh my god, yes, like the Brandon that I knew like from 5 years ago and the Brandon that I know right now have like evolved a lot, and you're definitely like one of those what did you call them, precursory heroes or whatever the fuck, I don't know what you said, whatever, it was all great, and I was like, oh my god, this is totally Brandon, like I've seen your own evolution, and I was like, I'm a child who can't keep his emotions.
Well, thank you. That does mean a lot. That does mean a lot to me.
It was my own fault for bringing this shit up. I just, it's my own fault. I'm a very emotional piece of shit. So, yeah, Gabe. Don't make
before
me cry,
I go on, because I'm not gonna make you cry. I'm gonna make you laugh at me. But before I say because I have like 5 characters.
Oh my god!
Shit, he gave him a 5.
You know how much time I had to think. But before I go, I just want to say we passed the 21st hour of the 21st minute of the 21st century of the 21st year of that century.
Nice.
Little fact. And the only time, well, not the only time, but if you can somehow make it to 2122, you'll be able to experience that again at 10
somehow
o'clock.
Make it?
Yeah. First of all, you already have a messed up knee. Health scares
if you're
me.
listening to this podcast, put this in a time capsule so you can send it to the people that will make it to that year.
I mean, facts. So if y'all haven't seen me around, it's because I'm dying.
Okay.
Because my knee's fucked up.
Maybe get some more sleep.
Remember us since we were.
Sleep is not a thing. What is that?
That's what. Sleep. Okay, all right. You don't sleep.
All right, tell me about these characters. Leave me alone.
Well, obviously, one of my first characters. I'm sorry to say, for any of my friends that are listening to this, no, actually, I'm not going to be choosing a Harry Potter character, even though everyone knows I love it. But one of the people that I've kind of drawn a connection to, and it could be because I've played this character's game 1,000 times, but it's like the article writer. It's Breath of the Wild, but it's Link. Because there's always been. Hold on, Jerel. I'm getting there. Don't give me that look.
He's not even like a person.
And that's what I'm going to talk about. Because usually when we play, a Zelda game and Link's not when Link, but Link's the protagonist. He's always been silent. The only time he's ever really had, quote unquote dialogue, has to be, I think, Skyward Sword, where you were given options of how to respond to a certain situation, and that's the only time I ever really saw him have a again, quote unquote voice of his own. But if you play through Breath of the Wild, and listen, the game's been out for 4 years, so I want to say spoiler warning, but at the same time I kind of don't.
He's gonna spoil me.
There's a specific memory that you collect. Oh no, sorry, it's not a specific memory. Actually, it is part of memory. But if you look, if you go into Princess Zelda's study, she has a. Jerel, you can listen to this. It's not that big of a spoiler. If you go into Princess Zelda's study, I love how he's plugging his ears like he doesn't have AirPods on right now. When you go into his study, and you read one of her diaries, she actually goes on to say that, there was one day that she was out in the field, whatever, and she asked Link, like, why are you always, like, why don't you talk? Why don't you say anything? And he explained to her, it had a lot to do with he felt like he had so much pressure on him, and he, all eyes are on him. So to paraphrase it, basically, he doesn't, to him, talking and conversing and showing, emotion and participating with everybody else is a distraction from where he's going, from what he has to do. And I know it sounds really deep and all, but like it's kind of something that I've always respected about Link is him being quiet, because no matter how quiet he is, and given he does always have, his partner for help in Breath of the Wild, he doesn't. He takes things on alone, and again, maybe it's because he doesn't have a voice, but you never really hear him complain. And there's a lot of times. What?
So
it's because he's snarky as shit when he does talk.
he can be actually. Real
I
quick,
mean,
before
yeah,
he
he's a
continues-
smart ass. He's a smart
He
ass.
is a smart ass.
Smart.
He actually is. He actually does.
And if you play Age of Calamity, he'll have his smart ass moments when he's meeting the other champions. But again, like there's been times in my life where I feel alone, but like I gotta stick it out because that's the only way to move forward. And I've always respected that, because when you look at the other characters, a lot of the other main characters in Zelda, you have Ganondorf, who he's usually the main villain. He always has the Triforce of Power. He has he has all this magic in him. He can transform into a fucking, I'm not gonna say pig, because it's more of a
That's kind of
warthog.
big.
Yeah,
So
more of a
you telling
warthog.
me that the only black guy in the game turns into a pig?
And
The only black.
that's actually two
No,
different.
he has the ability to turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
My
and
bad.
Princess Zelda has all her magic and all that stuff. And then you have usually this orphaned boy who he just wakes up one morning. It's like, hey, you got to save the entire land. And obviously,
Yeah.
my situations aren't the same. I don't have to save the entire country, God forbid. But like, you
God,
wake
we'd
up
all
and you're like, I
die.
have to overcome. Yeah. What? No.
The country
No.
depended on Gabe. Oh
You
my
can't even pre-order a PS5, Gabe. We can't trust you to save the
Well,
country.
that's not my
I was
fault.
gonna make a PS5 joke
not
too, but
my
it was more about
fault.
like he can't be a hero because he's out here punting little boys. for
That's
PS5.
right. See, that's a good argument for me not being able to save the country. I'd probably kick all the babies. But there's always, it's always waking up, not waking up, like always overcoming things by yourself. So I've always connected with him about that.
I respect
My
that.
other character.
Hey,
Yeah,
Gabe,
that was
real
actually
quick
really
before you
good. That was
continue.
a really good
Real
example.
quick before you continue. I was just gonna point out that I do like that Breath of the Wild is like to my knowledge, maybe there's a Zelda game I've missed, and that's possible. But I think that Breath of the Wild is like the first game that really explained why Link just chooses not to talk. So I thought that was a pretty cool detail when I also said that I read that diary. And what you were talking about, like Ganondorf a second ago, Ganondorf is not a character I relate to, but one thing I'll say is that Ganondorf and Wind Waker specifically, I think he's the first villain that I ever encountered in any kind of medium that had like a backstory in which you would almost sympathize with the villain. It was like the first villain I've ever encountered personally, where you realize that sometimes the villain, you understand why villains do things. Like a good villain is a hero in their own mind. And Ganondorf, the Wind Waker Ganondorf at the very end showed that, and I never really saw that in other villains until then. Like, of course, after that, I started seeing it in all kinds of medium, but that's the first time I really noticed it. Anyway, sorry to
I would
interrupt.
want
You
to
can
agree.
continue.
I would want to agree about that, but there's a certain villain named Anakin Skywalker that I sympathize with him.
Well,
moving on to
I saw that movie after Wind Waker. I
Man,
mean,
all I
Revenge
know-
specifically. That is what I'm saying.
All I know is
What's
that
up?
the older I get, the more I'm just like, these villains are not the problem.
It's really not. It's
Like,
100% not the
most of the
villain.
Some
I'm like,
villains
I feel like
are
it's just
so
'cause y'all
relatable
bothered
that
them. Like, if you would just leave them alone, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. Like,
That's
and then
100% true though.
sometimes-
Like,
Gabe,
it's
I
just
will not
like,
go into
it's not
spoilers
about-
for anyone listening to this podcast, but Attack on Titan is kind of going through that right now, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
oh yeah.
That is a huge spoiler.
That's
No,
whatever.
I'm giving you no
I'm just
context.
kidding. I have no idea.
Okay.
My
All right,
other
give us your next
character-
one. I gotta move on.
my-
Come on.
My number 2 character actually is Naruto, I just had to switch it
Yeah?
up. My first was actually gonna be Naruto, but since you
I
said
see
it, I
the
was like, I'll
similarity
switch it up.
already,
Wow.
And it, it's like I'm gonna say the opposite of me, but it's like Jerel said, it's about the friendship stuff. And the older you get, the more you realize it's a lot easier to just ask for help. It's okay. Like, you start off and you always want I want to do this by myself. I want people to recognize that I did it by myself. I want people to realize like, oh, he can do all this shit by himself. But then like, you hit a certain bump and it's like, it's okay to ask for help. If I want to get to where I want to be, I 100% need to ask people to help me, because there's going to be people that have different views that I have, people that have different skills that I have, that I'm going to need their help, to achieve my goal. And then, Jerel, you okay?
I have something to say.
You can go ahead and say it, because I was going to move on to my third character.
And I'm gonna make it really quick because I know that we've been on this for a minute. But one of the reasons that I am looking like that is because I said this. I hate the character trope where the main character is not able to ask for help or doesn't want help because they want to do shit on their own. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And that's why I was such a Harry Potter hater. Sorry to bring it back to Harry Potter, but in book 5 he was so fucking annoying because he's like, I'm the chosen one. I gotta do everything by myself.
Book 6.
I said I had the same whatever. Yes, thank you, book 6. I hated
a little bit
him
of
because
book
of
6. We're in
that.
book 5.
I had the same problem with Sora when he did that shit in Kingdom Hearts 3, and you guys were all yelling at me when I said that was my issue, and now all of a sudden you want to say this shit. I just want to put that out there, and now I'm done.
Wait, hold on.
Hold on, Brandon, hold on, because I want to bring it back to Harry Potter. Sorry, podcast. But the reason Harry was like that was in book 6 was because in book 5 everyone was treating him like dirt. Anyway,
because he's annoying.
I'm not.
Did you ever think maybe if he wasn't annoying as fuck, people wouldn't treat him like dirt?
No, people treated him like dirt because he's like, oh, Voldemort's back. And the government, which was like, nah,
the government is bad. But so then why would you turn on the only people who were there to try to help you?
Because no one was trying to help him. In book 5, everyone was like, you're a lying sack of shit.
So Hermione's just bullshit now? Ron's just, is that what you're saying?
No, because he didn't push them back though. He didn't push them back though. I'm talking about everyone else in Hogwarts.
Oh yes, he did. Every time he was going somewhere, it's like, oh, Hermione, stay behind. I'm gonna do it myself.
Hold on, I'm gonna back up Jerel just a second, because in the beginning of book 5, he was 100% going against both of them too. Because when he found out they were both prefects and he didn't get prefect, he went on them. Now that was the only time he went on them. Like after they had their talk and Hermione like tearfully apologized, well, she didn't need to, but she did it anyway. Then Harry was like, the 3 paisanos were back at it again, and then Harry had to just deal with everyone else around him.
But
I would actually pull up.
He should have understood that the reason they couldn't tell him was because they thought there was a connection between him and Voldemort. Like, right. Well, I don't know why they couldn't have told him that though. Like, they could just be like, hey, there might be like a thing. Like, but I think that they were under direct orders to not say anything he wasn't supposed to know, which, I mean, doesn't make sense, but there's got to be some fucking plot, So, right. I mean, but and also he wanted to go on his own to protect everyone because, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but starting in book, 4? Goblet of Fire, people start legit dying, and he's just like, oh shit, I don't want anybody else to die. You know?
But every time that he wants to go on his own, he would have died had it not been for his friends. Like,
and he would have been okay.
He would rather
he wouldn't
himself
know that
die.
everyone else was gonna die then.
And I don't like that fucking trope of I'm gonna leave all my friends because I have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
He was cocky like his dad. I mean, that was like one of the huge points of why Snape. Yeah, that's one of the huge. I hate James Potter. Oh, don't even get me started. Fuck James Potter.
Exactly.
Lily should have been with Snape. I will die on the hill.
Oh God.
Yeah, the books, both the books and the movies did nothing to convince me that Lily and James should have gotten together. Like that backstory almost went against the marriage, in my opinion. Like you read the books like
shit, we got married.
Right. Like the book started off like they're such a happy couple, and then you go to the backstory. It's like, why the hell did she go with him again? It was like, what?
Well, it's like Ron and Hermione. Why? Yep. Why do these women get with these toxic men?
Except the thing is though, with Ron and Hermione, you could tell that it was always that Ron had a thing for Hermione, and it was like, I don't know, to me you couldn't because you suck, but like.
Oh
yeah.
Oh my God.
But like James and Lily, like every time they had their they threw them in the flashbacks, I was like, she doesn't like him at all. Like there's not a sense of anything. Okay, anyway, I'm moving on to my third character.
Go ahead.
Character, and this is gonna be my last one because we've been on this topic for a while.
Yes.
And this one, I don't care what anybody says, you cannot convince me otherwise. This character I connect with almost the most is Natsu Dragneel from Fairy Tail, and it's not because he's some badass fire-breathing wizard. It's because he's loud, rambunctious, eats a lot, sleeps a lot, and he loves his friends. And it's like, I may not show it. And again, if any of my friends are listening to this podcast, do not send me a text saying you love me because I will just turn you away like I normally do.
He does
Yeah,
it all the time.
well, yeah, but get used to it. That's how you know I love you though when I don't say it because I'm just not gonna say it. But you'll get over
But I
it.
need to hear it. I need that confirmation.
Tough, but yeah, but
So-
I see Fairy Tail. I look at Natsu and I'm like, dude, I love this guy. Like he's me. He's loud. He likes going on adventures. He's a little oblivious, a little stupid sometimes, but
So
it
you
makes
got to
him
go
fun.
watch Black Clover now, Gabe, because
No, I've watched
Asta's
Black Clover. I cannot relate to Asta at all. He's just loud.
Oh, really?
Like
Really?
Natsu's loud,
Okay.
but Asta's
Fair.
just like Asta's like if Goku had a kid with Naruto. If Goku and Naruto had a kid, that's Asta. Just loud for no reason.
Okay.
Likes
Okay.
to train and is loud for absolutely no reason.
He does love to train. He's always training. He
Like
trains
this,
more than
he
Goku
does
sometimes.
1,000 push-ups. I can't even do 10.
Okay.
This is why literally he wouldn't save the country. He would be sleeping and eating and thinking about how much he loves his friends while we're all dying.
And that brings me to character number 4. No, I'm kidding.
I was like,
But
just
I
cut
will,
it.
I will be
Just cut
saying
it.
though, I do relate to Darth Vader sometimes because you know what? Some of y'all hoes be tripping.
Some of y'all hoes be tripping.
And when I say
that's a great way
hoes,
to
I just
segue
mean
to the
humans
next-
in general.
I think
Because
that's a great
It's
way to
a,
segue to the
it's
next
a broad term. I
comments.
think everyone can get.
there's some people that oh, talking about women.
Oh no, all my
No,
hoes are
maybe.
like you guys are my hoes.
Yeah.
I love my
Straight
hoes.
up.
Again,
Big facts.
if I had to save the country, I'm not saving you.
Oh,
Just
me?
because of that. Just for calling me a hoe. No, I'm
I'm
kidding.
not
I mean,
gonna kill you.
That's
but I don't
literally
have to
fine.
save you.
You wouldn't save anybody, so like I don't feel bad.
Speak for yourself. I'm speaking. I'm done.
Okay,
Gabe is
so
Batman begins Batman,
recently,
except he doesn't save anyone.
recently, one of the developers of Dead by Daylight was caught in a very compromising position. Well, I don't know if it was actually compromising. What?
No, because Brandon was like, Gabe would be like Batman, except he doesn't save anybody.
I
mean,
said
does
specifically
Batman
Batman begins
even
Batman.
save
Like I was
anyone?
referencing the line where he says, "But I don't have to save you, except that's everyone."
Does Batman legit even save anybody?
Yes, he just kills a lot of criminals in the process.
Literally, he kills like 10 people to save one person, and he doesn't even always save them. But okay.
All right, but that's like that railroad thing. If there's a train going towards a bunch of people, but you can switch it to that one person. What are you gonna do? I'm obviously gonna save the one person.
What?
Okay,
No, you're
so
I kind of lost the plot there, but continue.
I have no idea what you're talking about. So recently, one of the Dead by Daylight devs was recorded saying,
That's interesting.
quote, "All right, JC, it's getting really boring just babbling about colorblind mode all the time. We've heard it a million times. We know continuing to badger us about it isn't going to change anything. If it gets done, it'll get done when we'll have time to do it, or if somebody decides that it's something that should be done. We know that a lot of players want it. We know it's not a small number. We get it." And the way that it was said, the way that this was said, actually, Kelly, do you want to describe it a little bit
So
better?
the man has an attitude about it.
Yeah.
He's pretty rude about it. However, what I will say is that it looks like in the video that he's streaming Dead by Daylight. Is he streaming?
I
So-
think he is.
Imagine how many times he might get asked that question. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the context of this video is. Like, he's streaming and people are asking him, but the game's been out for 4 years. If you're gonna have a colorblind mode, it should probably be out by now. And you don't have to be so rude about it. Honestly, if someone asking in chat, just say nothing. Just skip over the comment. Like, it was really rude, and like it's almost felt like he was talking down to people who are colorblind is how it came off, and how Twitter took it. Of course, they ran with that. So that was nice. But he was very a little hostile. But like I said, whenever I'm streaming and people get on my fucking nerves, I can also be Hostile.
So to finish up the story, the Dead by Daylight official Twitter did respond, and they said, "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. This is not indicative of the views of the team, and we deeply apologize for any frustration or harm this may have caused. This is not how we wanted to reveal this, but we feel it's the right time. We've been working on a colorblind mode for some time now, and we are planning on a release shortly. We want to make sure this is done the right way. So while we are hoping to get this into the next major release, we are unable to commit on the release date just yet." And then they showed some schematics and some progress shots of how their colorblind mode is going to go. And I think, and I'm going to ask how you, Gabe, and Brandon feel about this, but Kellie, I agree with you, but I also think that obviously I don't know the context, but if I'm doing like a professional stream for the game that I made, the last thing I want to do is upset a player base over accessibility that's not in my game.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's been out for 4 years. If y'all had this colorblind mode already, guess what? Nobody would have to be asking for it constantly. It's kind of like it reminds me of when Blizzard didn't have a black woman character in Overwatch, and everyone was like, hey, every time they released a character, everyone was like, hey, you realize that this is just another, cis white woman in like 5 million, and you still have yet to release a black female character in Overwatch. And so that became the thing every time this character was released. And do I think that people should stop that? No, because I think you should have that representation. And if you're not hearing that people want it, you might not ever do it. And so I think for Dead by Daylight, like, if there are, for accessibility reasons, all players should be able to play a game like Dead by Daylight. Everybody should be able to be as scared as I have to be. Like, fuck it, let everybody be scared when they play this game.
Game's not even that scary.
Okay, well, it's because I'm scared
of
everything.
Oh shit, that caught that? My bad.
Yes, you asshole.
I didn't think I was gonna caught
that. Wow.
What?
What? As you speak into the mic, I didn't think it was gonna catch that.
No, I knew he was gonna catch it.
Like, I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Gabe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, whatever. God, I basically, I understand the frustration, but I also think that you have to, I think it's not misplaced. Like, I'm sure that after a while, I too would be annoyed of people asking me, but I would have to remember that this is for the greater good and a bigger player base for my game, and I would just have to be like, hey guys, so please stop asking me, I can't talk about it, as opposed to, his response. But I also get being annoyed by it, because I've been in positions where it's just like, damn, y'all, like, how many times I gotta say this?
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, those positions for me aren't, accessibility in video games, right? Like, I'm not excluding an entire group of people because they're colorblind and they want to be involved. So I'm not okay with it. But it is what it is, because they're adding colorblind mode. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Brandon, Gabe?
Well, all I'll say is, of course, the PR afterwards was that's just damage control to a 10. But like, it seems like they were planning it. I mean, at the very least, well, it could go either way. Either they were planning it and they just weren't ready to talk about it, like whatever. So he was silent until he just like burst to like yelling about it, or all this happened and like you said, they're being prompted to action and actually going to add it because of everything else going on. Because if PR had to come up afterwards, after him yelling about it and being like, hey, we don't agree, his views don't represent ours, but we also ain't working on a colorblind mode at this time.
Yeah.
People would be like,
Right.
yeah, at that point would be like, excuse, like that,
Right.
that would probably be worse than him yelling about it. Honestly, if that was the official response. And the only reason that leaves me credence into believing that now they're working on it because of this is the fact that they didn't have a release date for it. Because if it was seriously working, like, there wasn't even estimates. Like, I understand you can't lock in something like this, especially if it's harder to do than you think. But like, the fact that they even have an estimate makes me feel like, were you guys really working on this though, or are you just trying to, like, I don't know. But honestly, it's a good thing. Of course, you want Dead by Daylight continues to be a huge game, and having a colorblind mode would just make it more accessible to more people. So yeah, it would be a good idea to do it. So whether they have been or they haven't been, it's good that it's coming.
But that reminds me of what I was saying about Blizzard, because I don't remember what exactly it was. I think it was the Blizzard controversy about them banning the player for the Hong Kong issue, and then right after that they were like, oh hey, here's this black lady coming to Overwatch. It was pretty much like, PR cleanup. Like, oh yeah, you guys have wanted this? Guess what? She's coming. But that was also, what, like 2 years ago now at this point?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It was a long time ago. And it was like, oh yeah, no, we're also working on Overwatch 2, which is not at all ready. I'm sure we just like threw this shit together for this presentation to make everybody forget about the bad things that everyone hates us for.
Yes.
And that could very well just be this exact situation. It's just like, oh yeah, no, we totally don't agree with that guy. Look, we've been working on this for a very long time. But like Kelly said, it's been 4 fucking years. Like, when did you think that this was going to be the time for
if you've looked at the photos that they posted, I was going to say this earlier, but I just looked at them again. It just looks like you put like an Instagram. It looks like an Instagram filter. Like, okay, we got to change the color of this picture. And then they just put some words at the bottom. I'm guessing different types of color blindness. I'm not sure, but it really just looks like I could have done that with an Instagram filter.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just, I mean, if their PR team is really good, if they did all this,
Oh, yeah, the PR team is the one that did this, then give them a raise.
They're like, all right, we got this.
But
Instagram filters, like, it's really hard to believe that that's their work in progress. Like, can't you just change? I don't know. Whatever.
It's also, very interesting to go on and say that this isn't what our team believes when that's literally a developer working on your game. So it also comes with a sense of like, how many of you actually feel this way while you're working on this? Like, is it just that one person? And then it's also like, well, damn, if this guy really hates colorblind mode and you guys are just doing it just to save face now, like, I don't want to support that because you weren't going to do it in the first place. Like, that's like if I was like, oh my God, guys, I love Donald Trump. I really wish that he was like still our president. And I'm exactly like, and I'm
don't even joke.
HPCritical. But that's what I mean. Like, if someone saw that, I'm sure they would be like, how the fuck are you running a diversity website? And you're like, these are your actual thoughts. Like, that would obviously bleed into the rest of this company. So it's like, how, you can say that you guys don't believe that, but the person who's like physically working on getting this game out is the one who's annoyed by the colorblind mode. So it's like, well, how do the rest of you really feel about this?
Can I just go off topic for a second? Because on HPCritical, you know how you run ads?
Mm-hmm.
On hpcritical.com, my boyfriend, I think he might have a screenshot of it. It ran a Donald Trump ad on HPCritical. And he had a picture of it. Or maybe he kept the tab open or whatever because it just made him laugh to open the HPCritical page because he reads my articles when I ever post any. And it had a Trump, like literally a Trump ad on hpcritical.com. And he was like, did you see this? And I was like, it was shocking.
So our ads are using Google AdSense for anyone who knows what that is, and they are tailored. So you might have to be talking to your boyfriend because I don't know why he got a Trump ad because all my ads are PlayStation shit. So like it's like based on Google shit. So it could very well just be like recent news shit of him being banned everywhere on like Twitch and Facebook and stuff. But yeah, that's they're targeted ads. So.
Oh no!
I don't know what's going on over there, Kelly. Might want to look into that one.
Well, time to pack my shit before he gets home. All right.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Sorry, Gabe. Did you want to join in on this conversation?
No, not really. I just got nothing but shame sticks for the developer for handling that poor as hell. Like, doesn't matter.
There should still be some leeway though. But that's just me. Him, because I agree with Kelly, like it can be very stressful. I don't agree with what he did, but I do agree that it can be really stressful when you're like trying to stream and things happen.
I get that, but like also like you don't have to lash out exactly like that.
Why are you streaming if you hate people so much?
If you can't, like that's one of the reasons I don't stream because like the 2 times I've tried streaming, I get some random person who's like, "Yo, follow for follow." I'm like, "No, shut up, you dumbass! That's not what I'm here for." That's why I don't stream. Like, there's a certain but those follow for follow people don't actually
like shut up.
follow you. But
And some of them are
like yeah, like
bots.
there's a
Yeah.
especially if you know, again, he's one of the devs. You have to hold yourself to a
Yeah.
certain degree when you're doing
Yeah.
something like that, when you're streaming. And then the shame sticks for Dead by Daylight because, again, I'm not into game dev. I don't know how that shit works, but your game's been out for 4 years, and that's from what I've understood. Colorblind accessibility is one of the easier things to fix into your game. So
I feel
shame
like
sticks all around.
yes, but I'm not a game developer, so I won't go into
Yeah.
that. But I feel like yes, I agree actually with everything you said. Crazy,
can't believe
I know.
I'm gonna screen record that when the episode comes out.
Oh,
I'm gonna play
Uh,
myself to sleep too. I agree with everything you said.
you
I
should play it
agree
next
with
to
everything you
that
said.
video of you
Yeah,
killing me in Smash.
ringtone.
What?
I said you should play it next to that video of you killing me in Smash. That down smash that you just
No,
continue to post.
that's too much hurt for your ego if I did that.
Oh, okay.
I can't send those two videos back to back.
Yes, mercy.
I am a merciful God.
A
So,
god
anyway,
now.
It turns out that Microsoft recently filed a patent to create chatbots that imitate dead people. It says the chatbot would have its own personality index based on images, voice data, and more. And this is over from IGN. It says Microsoft has filed a patent that would allow the company to digitally revive deceased loved ones as chatbots using the individual's personal information. Well,
There
excuse me,
was-
the independent reports that the
I
tech
sure love
giant
Ghost in the
has
Shell, guys.
says the independent reports that the tech giant has raised the possibility of creating an AI-based chatbot that would be built upon the profile of a person, which includes their images, voice data, social media posts, electronic messages, among other types of personal information. It is understood that the chatbot would then be able to simulate human conversation through voice commands and or text chats. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of this. So, well, actually, I'll read this next part. It says, however, Microsoft has taken the concept a step further by suggesting that a 2D or 3D model of a specific person could potentially be created using images and depth information or video data of an individual in order to build a chatbot that has the same characteristics and behavior based on the digital output of a specific person.
Okay. There was a Black Mirror episode
There was.
about this, and it did not turn out well. It
At
didn't turn
all.
out really bad, but it could have been really bad. Yeah, once people die, I mean, I know that like you want them back. Like there are some people I would love to talk to again. I mean, even via a chatbot, but like they're not really there. You can't really hold on to that from a person. It's not healthy. Like you have to let it go. I mean, obviously we don't want to do that, but just keeping them alive in some sort of chatbot, like in the Black Mirror episode, she gets like really way too attached to this person because she feels like it's really her deceased loved one, but like he's not real. Like it's just like some code. It's not really the person. But I don't want them, like, what if they start making models of the people again? Like that would just be really weird. I mean, like I said, you want it, but it's not healthy to do that, I don't think.
I think it's also really interesting because like the profile that this chatbot would make would be based on content from that person, right? But I think a lot of times not everyone is their authentic selves online or in chat or, you know, throughout whatever they like data they collect. So like mine, I'm sure it's just gonna be like would just be like where are all the black people in every video game, and that would be it. Like it wouldn't be like there would be no nuance to who I am. Like that would be the whole thing. The person that's all I talk about. And so I think like with something like that, it would be very, if you attempted it, it could be very inauthentic as well, because it's just going to be what I present, which is that my life is perfect and I'm looking for black people in video games. My life is not perfect. My knee is fucked the fuck up, and I wasn't going to say anything, but Gabe's already told everybody on the podcast, so like now I'm struggling with that. Like,
So if you ever fight Jerel, go for the knee.
Yeah, but you don't know which one, bitches. Let's go.
If obviously if one of them doesn't bring you down, I'm just gonna go for the other one. It's not like there's more than one.
It's gonna have to be a perfect guess the first time, because if you don't take me down the first time, we're gonna have a serious fight.
I mean, I don't know, but by the way the pictures look, it's pretty obvious which knee it is.
Okay, but why would you expose me like that?
Just in
don't
case.
tell nobody.
I mean, I don't.
Why,
maybe.
We're not gonna fight. Like I'm not gonna fight you, bro.
But maybe I have a little small squadron down in Miami getting ready to get one of my PS5s from you.
Now you've told everybody where I'm at too.
Why are you taking
give
all
them all
my
my information?
One of
Oh,
us
did I say the city?
He wants more than one now.
Like sure, just tell everybody where I am, which knee it is. We're gonna give them my address, my social while you're at it.
I
You
mean,
know what? If I did have a bot, it would literally now just be I hate Gabe, and like it would only talk about how much I despise you and
Must
my death.
kill
Which
Gabe.
actually, I wouldn't be too mad at if my bot was just
I
like hate
feel
Gabe.
important. If the likeness of Jerel's bot
It's
was to
just
come and kill
all
me,
about that.
I would literally just start like I'd set up cameras all over the place and just like make my own movie.
No, you'd get so sick of it. I would literally be that guy in your stream.
Yeah, Jerobo.
Follow for follow. Let's
Follow
all
for
kill
follow.
Gabe.
Well,
Like,
if
I just say follow for
if that's
follow
what it
over
is, then I'm gonna do what small thing I've always wanted to do is just move into the wilderness with no electricity. I will die within the month, but I will go into the wilderness.
You don't want
Wilderness.
this. Unless you're like literally trying to live that Link life from Breath of the Wild, you don't want to do this.
I actually kind of do. Living in the wilderness looks so relaxing.
How are you gonna charge your Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, I'm gonna let go of all that stuff. I can actually live without my electronics, surprisingly.
You can live without Zelda.
But
That'd be
what
the most
kind of
surprising thing to
life
sit all night.
is it? I mean,
It's a
really.
pretty peaceful life.
Exactly.
I wouldn't get headaches from looking at bright lights. And my fingers wouldn't cramp up. Back to sorry.
Unless you guys want to jump in on that, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah,
Another side story.
really quick on that because I actually read that earlier today before you sent it to us. One, me personally, and this is just me, I feel like that's disrespecting the dead because I mean, one, I can't say no. Like I know my family can speak for me, but like I kind of don't trust well, not my current family, but like if I, grow old, whatever, and have, kids and stuff, I kind of won't trust them to make the right decision just because of how I am. But then two, I feel like in order to do that, you would need to collect a lot of data from that person, which if you're gonna do, you better pay me for collecting my personal data and how I interact with people and stuff because you're using my likeness. And then three, I just think it's a really bad idea because I didn't watch that Black Mirror episode, but I did see, I actually can't remember where I saw it, but this this lady she participated in a study. Again, I don't remember if this was real or if this was somewhere I saw, but she participated in a study where the scientist would be able to kind of make it'd be like video chatting, but like it's like she's talking to her son. And it wasn't like you could like when you look at it, it wasn't like some weird like coding in a system. It was like it was him in like image form and everything. And I think it was like after like 2 weeks, she just started going crazy. And yeah, just looking at that alone, it's like that's not a good idea. Like like some people, a lot of people say like, yeah, I'd love to do that because it feel like I'm reconnecting with lost loved ones or my friends or whatever. But like, we're human, and no matter how strong-willed you think you are, there's gonna be a time and moment where you're gonna snap. And I'm just thinking, very apocalyptic world where a bunch of dead robots are taking over. I don't like the idea. You're muted.
You're muted.
Thanks. It's because we have a newborn baby here, so sorry if I keep muting. That's why. But it reminds me of these parents who lost their child and they brought their child back as a hologram to remind people to not drink and drive. I think it was, and I was like, that is like, I don't know that I would do that, but it could be used for positivity, possibly depending on how you feel about it. But something else that happened recently was that there was a murder of a 19-year-old kid that was recreated in Grand Theft Auto. And I specifically wanted to talk about this because it's one of those things where it's like, and I want to ask you guys, like, how do you think people should be punished for doing something like that? And just for the way that the story unfolded, the article is over from mirror.co.uk, and it says that there was a film that shows a 19-year-old Kelvin O'Donoghue his killing outside of a cinema in North London as if it happened on multi-million selling game Grand Theft Auto. And so these players, apparently to mock the family, I'm assuming, shared on Instagram their video of doing like a drive-by shooting in front of a cinema in Grand Theft Auto. to try to recreate that killing. And I don't know what happened to the players that did this because it doesn't say what happened to them. But like, how can video game companies? I know we kind of talked about like how toxicity happens in video games and stuff, but this I think is much like to a higher degree. Like, what happens if something like this happens? Like, what do you think should happen?
I don't think that falls to the video game company. I think that should be taken straight to the authorities. And me personally, I think that's lifetime jail right there. Isolated lifetime jail. It's again, it seems a little harsh, but there's no way you can tell me that that's not harmless. Because if you're gonna do that and you're gonna put it for everyone to see, you know the family's gonna see it. And why are you adding salt to a wound? They lost somebody. That was someone's brother, someone's son, could have been someone's boyfriend. That's extremely disrespectful. And we live in an age where we're so technologically advanced and whatnot, but at the same time, we kind of have to remember, the basics of being a human, and it's that you only get one life, and like it should be respected. So
as far as I'm aware, they're between the ages of 19 and 22. I think he was 19, and the person that died was 22, and I believe they're around that like 22 to 25 age range. Just to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm. Is that the people that made the video?
Mm-hmm.
They know what they're doing. There's nothing you can say that can deem it as excusable. That's just being a dirty human. That's all it is.
Life in prison is very harsh.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty harsh. It's recreating something in a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
all
not.
I was gonna.
Go ahead.
Sorry. All I was gonna say is that, like, yeah, I was gonna say prison time for sure, just maybe not necessarily lifetime. I think there's just like it's a really dirty thing to do, and they definitely should be punished. But go ahead, Kelly.
I don't know that what they did is a crime though. Like I don't know if someone should be arrested if something's not a crime. I guess they could make it a crime. After what they did, they could pass a new law. But as it stands right now, recreating something in a video game, even something so heinous, is not really a crime. Unless you wanted to file like a civil suit from the family for something, it's not a crime. So technically, like I said, while I don't agree, and the family could have a civil suit on their hands and sue them for everything they're worth. They could never own anything again. I mean, whatever. You could get like monthly payments from them. They could have to pay you money. I think that in this case, it's not really illegal to do this. So, like I said, I don't agree, but life in prison, that's really harsh. But especially for someone who's so young, it feels like people do jokes that aren't funny a lot. And I think that, like I said, while it's not necessarily illegal, people should get involved. And maybe, like I said, a civil suit or some sort of repercussions. Maybe there is a law created, but as of right now, it's not something that's illegal. So I don't really know what the authorities would really be able to do. Nor do I know if jail time is a necessary punishment for this, because, like I said, it's not really something that's illegal.
Well, hang on. There, depending on how, like you said, you suggested a civil suit, right? There's a good lawyer could spin this in certain ways, depending on like the severity of crimes, because there's been toxic comments like this or toxic videos being sent to people, and then if they're in enough of an emotional state, they could be driven to suicide. So even if you, like, for example, if like you could certainly get arrested for, even if you don't necessarily cause someone to go suicide, if they can prove that you were trying to incite it, then they could definitely arrest you for that, because that's, in a way, that's like attempted murder. So if a lawyer was to spin it that way, like where we're setting this in a form of like torture to the viewers of the family that lost their loved one and saw that video, and it was like it mentally tortured them, or God forbid it actually had effects to them, like actual effects to them, to their mental state, then yeah, that is game over right there. But even if the attempt of it, a good lawyer could spin into a crime, even if the actual act itself is bad, but not necessarily a crime on its own.
All right, so Kellie's right. Like it is 100% just something that would be a civil suit, and even then, you know, a lot of times people don't feel like that's enough. Which is why I first suggested, you know, this being something like Rockstar just completely, you know, banning them from ever playing any of their games ever again or something like that, because you know, civil suit a lot of times is not enough for people, and it reminds me of Elijah McClain, who was murdered, and then the cops who recreated his death, and nothing happened to them because, you know, there was a civil suit against them, and I'm pretty sure like the family won money, but like that is not enough for you guys who killed him to just recreate his death in that manner. But you know, there's unfortunately, Brandon, I'm gonna disagree with you because there have been too many times that something like this has happened. And well, no, because there was that case of, oh my God, what is that girl's name? There was that case, and this is totally off topic, not about video games, so I'll make it really quick. But there was that case of that, oh my cat just fell. I don't know what he's doing. There's that case of that couple, that young couple, that girl and that guy, and she told him to kill himself, and then he went and actually did kill himself.
Right.
And
Yes.
I'm pretty sure she ended up being charged in that situation.
Not
But
harshly.
She wasn't harshly charged at all.
No.
But this isn't even that same situation, because they're like, I don't know how you would be able to spin this to put the blame enough on them for recreating a moment in a video game. Like that seems like it would be a really hard sell. But
so I'm gonna
great juror.
I'm gonna go
like, that's not technically a crime. They didn't technically do anything. And I mean, you're not wrong.
So Jerel, I'm going to actually technically agree with your point there for a reason that like that makes my blood boil, is the fact that Judge doesn't get video games and therefore will throw the whole case out.
Like, what? They did what now?
A video game? Like, get the shit out of my courtroom. They won't even listen.
I don't know, man. Video games is $1 billion industry now, and it's pretty big. So I think
some
being able to,
and some people still don't get it.
The thing is, you don't have to get video games, and in this specific case, you don't have to understand video games. It's very much like, this is how this guy died. This is the video of them recreating how he died. Whether you understand video games or not, watching that should be enough. Like, you don't need to know.
But I can see a question coming out immediately afterwards. Like, is this part of like the game's story, or is this like a punch of the game, and then the can do in the game, and then that alone, the fact that it's just something you can do, can go either way in terms of the argument of whether or not they can be convicted of anything or not.
And then it becomes, oh my God, video games are bad, take them away. Why can you do this?
Yeah, I don't want to turn into that, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not like the game caused them to kill someone.
Sure.
Someone was killed and they recreated it in a game, which is disgusting, and it's not funny at all. But like I said, I don't think that it's a crime. But if you're asking what we think they deserve, I mean, never to play these games again for one. I don't know if I would still give them life in prison. I used to tell jokes that were not fucking funny, and if someone heard them now, they'd probably be like, "What?" You know, like, I don't even want to think about the stuff I used to do. I would never do anything like that. But people do shit for clout, and they do shit that ain't funny at all. But it got views, and we're talking about it on a podcast, so clearly they wanted something to happen, and that was something that happened. Like I said, I think it kind of is in the hands of the
Thank you. Sorry. That's my sneeze. I'm sorry.
Okay, it wasn't a fart.
Sneezes sound like farts. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You interrupted me with a fart. So anyways, I think, like I said, never to play a Rockstar game again would be a good punishment for this, but I don't know that it's a crime. I don't know even what I would give someone as a prison sentence for this. It's terrible, but like I said, it's not inherently illegal. I don't know what I would do if I were a judge. I don't know.
Well, you know who could do something about it? Superman. You ready for this segue?
Segue
It's gonna be
master.
horrible.
I feel like it was so bad. In my head, it sounded so cool, and then I said it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is probably so bad." I'm so
I
sorry.
sound like a dork.
I am going to apologize for that segue.
Do not
So
apologize. That was great. Continue.
so Zack Snyder's Justice League, guys, is coming out HBO Max, and it is going to be a one-shot 4-hour film. One-shot 4-hour film. So a lot of people have been talking about the Snyder cut of Justice League, which apparently has a bunch of things that were cut out of the original film, which is why a lot of people have not liked the film, saying that a lot of this stuff, had it been in the film, it would have been a much better film. So I know that you guys, I think all of you watch Lord of the Rings, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I recently watched it.
Oh my god. Like, how do you guys feel about sitting down for I mean, how long was that last Marvel film? Like 3.5 hours? 3 hours?
Endgame was 3 hours. It wasn't 3.5. It was like a little over 3 hours though.
The last Lord of the Rings movie is 3.5 hours though. Battle of the Five Armies, I think, is 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. So I'm assuming that this won't be a problem for you guys sitting down for a 4-hour movie session.
Well, two things that I want to just point out. First off, regarding the length of the movie, it being 4 hours, because it is coming to HBO Max, I don't think the length of the movie is necessarily even a problem because of the fact that you can pause the movie and go do whatever you need to. 4 hours might be concerning for the modern theater viewer if they had to sit down for 4 hours and just watch a movie, because that's
Endgame.
going a little over. Like yeah, exactly, like we were saying before. They can get away with 3 hours for Endgame and Lord of the Rings because they make big mondo bucks. They can make those movies as long as they
That
need
movie
to.
did not have to be 3 hours. I don't care what anybody
Which
says.
one?
That movie was so unnecessarily long.
Which
The
one?
Endgame.
Oh,
Or
for
no.
sure. Oh, no,
The
Endgame.
last one. Whatever the last one
Yeah,
was.
Endgame. Yeah,
did
the
not
last
need to
one.
be 3 hours.
Yeah, it didn't.
Literally, it was just Scarlett Johansson talking and crying for like the first two. And I was like, what is going on? No, fuck her.
Well, anyway, well, I
Okay.
disagree, but I'm not gonna
is
go.
literally one of those actresses who, for some reason, feels like she has to play every fucking part instead of being able to be one of those actors that's like, hey, maybe someone who's actually this type of person can have this type of role in a fucking movie. If it's like, oh, there's this calls for like this black woman, she's gonna be like, well, I was black in a past life, let me have that role. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Well, I will say she's physically attractive then.
What?
Basic, but okay.
What?
Scarlett
What do you
Johansson
mean?
is so basic. Like, so basic.
You know, okay, yeah. Have you ever watched Ice Age?
I'm
seen the
so
first
scared
one.
where this
You
is
know,
going, but yeah.
you know Sid the Sloth. You know the lady sloths. That's
Yeah.
what I
Oh my
see
god,
when I
it
look
just hit my
at
TV.
Scarlett
Oh
Johansson.
my god.
Don't wipe it with your hands. It makes it worse.
Also, I said Battle of the Five Armies. That's the last Hobbit movie. It's actually Return of the
Okay,
King. That's the last
there we go.
movie, technically,
I
in
was
the
like, I've never
timeline of
heard
Lord
of
of the
this.
Rings. And that is
Yeah.
4 hours and 11 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Look
yeah,
at it.
so
The only way to watch them is extended.
Well,
you guys are
okay, so
totally-
I would probably cut it into 2-hour parts. That's what I did for
That's
the
what they-
Lord of the Rings movies. I cut it in half. Like, I
Yeah.
watch half, and then the
Oh,
next day
I
I'll
watch
watch the other
I
half.
watched these shit
And that's-
at once.
And if you're someone that just simply cannot sit for that long to watch a movie, that's a good way to do it. Also, before we continue, I just do want to offer like a quick little correction on the Snyder cut, which you're saying, Jerel. As far as the Snyder cut is concerned, there are absolutely scenes in that movie that are getting like reinserted back to the movie that Zack Snyder wrote. But the thing is, he got kind of taken out of the movie kind of early, and Joss Whedon got moved in, so there wasn't actually enough footage to make like a Snyder cut. So like people were asking for it for years, like release the Snyder cut. But the thing is, there was no Snyder cut. There wasn't enough footage that he only had in his movie enough. So they actually had to reshoot things to make this Snyder cut happen. So a lot of this, it's kind of just a new one. It has the same that it's like based on the same plot, of course, the Justice League, but there's a lot of stuff that they just like filmed for the movie that was never filmed before. So that's where the extra hours are coming in. They're just that stuff that just wasn't in there. But Zack Snyder would have wanted it if he had a chance. So it's just all in there. Like there are subplots in there that are not going to get picked up in future DC movies because it's based on the Justice League, not the Snyder cut Justice League. But it's in there anyway because Zack Snyder was just given carte blanche, just do whatever the fuck he wanted with the movie. So
Also,
it'll be a
fuck
wild
Joss
ride either way.
Whedon.
What's up?
Yeah.
I said also fuck Josh Whedon.
Yeah.
He's a piece
Yeah.
of shit for everything he did as well. So fuck you. I'll watch the Zack Snyder cut for 4 hours. I don't got shit else to do with my life. That was a joke.
Except work.
Huh?
Except work.
That's why I said that was a joke.
Yeah.
I actually like. Never mind. So something else that
Like
happened.
what?
Nothing.
No, you gotta finish it now.
Takaya Imamura was an artist and game designer at Nintendo for 32 years. He's no longer
Oh, yes.
there. He has credits including Captain Falcon, Fox McCloud, and Majora's Mask underneath his belt. So I brought this up because I know I got some Nintendo fans in here. The guy's retired. How does that make you feel? Sad?
I tip my imaginary hat to you, and I hope you live a happy rest of your life. Thank you for all you've given.
So I'll piggyback off that and like agree with all that first of all, and second, there are like you said, he's the lead designer of like Captain Falcon's, Fox McCloud, and Majora's Mask, and all the new characters that were added to that game. There are some articles out here saying like, I'm sorry, can you repeat the name one more time? Like
his name?
Because I don't. Yeah.
Takaya Imamura.
Thank you. So Imamura, there's so many articles that are saying the artist of Tingle retires from Nintendo.
Okay, but he technically is the artist of Tingle.
No, it's true. It's true. He did design Tingle. That's true. I just find it hilarious that that's the first thing everybody, like so many websites that are covering this specific topic, it's like artist of Tingle leaves Nintendo. And they knew what they were doing. Let's be real. Because if you say artist of Tingle and nothing else is leaving Nintendo, you are going to get some very divided ass opinions, because the Nintendo fan base, or Zelda fan base rather, is so divided on Tingle it is not even fun. There are people who adore Tingle, cannot wait to see him in a Zelda game, and there are some people who just despise Tingle and want him to just go die in a fire somewhere. So putting that there, I don't hate Tingle.
Why do people hate Tingle? He's just this gay.
He's a 35-year-old adult parading around as a fairy.
That wants to be
Let
a fairy.
him
He got a job.
Okay. What damage
he's
is
living
he
his
doing?
best life.
Thank you.
No,
What damage is he doing?
Okay, hold on. There are some games where Tingle is actually a villain. There are some games where he's actually a villain.
Okay, but
Four Swords Adventures, like Link has to gather these. No, hold on. Let me finish. In Four Swords Adventures, Link needs to gather these Force Gems so he can literally be strong enough to fight the enemies at the end of each level. And Tingle's out here stealing them from Link so he can become rich. Like he's stealing the power.
Exactly. You just proved my point. He's literally
How
like
is that
Mojo
my
Jojo.
point?
He's
Tingle's
legit not
endangering the
doing
world.
Mojo Jojo's a villain.
Yeah, but like, is he really? Like, he is, but is he really?
Just because he loses all the time.
Literally, Mojo Jojo is a worse villain than Tingle. Okay, so the man want to get rich and be a fairy. Let him live.
Hold on.
No,
what do you think about Tom Nook?
He became rich into endangering the world. There's other games where he's becoming rich and not hurting anyone, and there's games where he's becoming rich.
Does he know that he's endangering the world?
Yes.
Does he care?
No.
No, exactly.
Hold on. Jerel, what do you think of Tom Nook?
Tom Nook gets a really bad rap. I think he's a fine character. He gives you a huge loan.
I won't say anything.
He gives you a huge loan with no interest. You take however long you need to pay it off. He's much less of an asshole than he was in other games.
Because I gave one example where he is a villain, but all things said, I mostly agree with you guys, because Tingle in most games is fine. He's just living his best life and just trying to get money.
It's the fact that he annoys me.
You can't. So
you can't throw someone in jail for annoying you, Gabe. You want to
Yes,
throw
I
everyone in jail tonight.
For annoying people, though.
First of all, we live in one of the countries where people get thrown in jail for almost everything. So yes, and technically, if I have the authoritative power to jail that green little shit, I'm gonna do it.
So you're a
because
dictator.
he's annoying. Yes.
But why?
We've gone over that. I said my fourth
Windmaker Tingle is literally both things. He's both a hero and a villain, because he helps Link in his adventure. He helps Link get Triforce pieces. Good. But the thing is, on his island, he is like forcing his siblings and a random stranger to do his labor for him for no money. So Tingle literally is like both things in that game.
Maybe that's why
but anyway, we got
off topic.
You know? We got
there
off
you
topic.
go. He's stealing money to pay them. because
He's
he
not
doesn't have
paying
enough
them.
money to pay them.
He's
because
not
he didn't
paying
get to steal
them.
the
And
money.
we don't got
because
any
you guys
money.
are so worried
He
about the
has so
world.
much money in that game. He has so much money, and he's not
Yeah, he's
paying.
incredibly rich in Wind Waker. In Majora's
so
Mask,
much
he's okay.
money.
In Majora's Mask, he's okay. He overprices the shit out of his maps, but he's okay.
I like Majora's Mask Tingle. He's a fine
The only
character.
reason I don't mind him as much is because his dad complains about him in that game, and that's all I need.
So
Yeah.
something else that is going to possibly make people really rich, another good segue, is
Robbing banks.
Lucasfilm game. No, stop.
Yeah, can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS5.
Wait, what?
I said I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS5. I can't wait to play that stuff again.
Grand Theft Auto
Anyway,
5 on
robbing banks. No, I'm sorry. You said getting rich. Well, that was your segue. Continue. I'm sorry.
I am
Ignore me.
literally so confused about what's going on. But we're
Hold
gonna
on.
get the first new non-EA Star Wars game.
Yes!
Like, I know you're all huge Star Wars fans. Ubisoft and Massive have an upcoming open world Star Wars adventure. And it's the first non-EA Star Wars game. So I know, Kelly, for sure you loved the EA Star Wars games back in the day.
I do.
Open world Star Wars, not by EA. How we feeling?
I'll go first. So
You guys were so excited, then you're like,
No.
I wanted to let someone else talk.
I thought Kelly was gonna go first. That's why I hesitated. But I was like, let me go first. So yeah, EA Star Wars. So at this point, there's now been 4 EA Star Wars games. We had Battlefront 1 and 2, Fallen Order, and Squadrons. So Squadrons and Fallen Order are both fine games. And that's mostly because of the backlash from Battlefront 2, because the developers of the game, which wasn't Respawn, was it? It was Respawn,
No, it was
right?
DICE. No.
DICE.
DICE.
Sorry, yes. DICE did a good job with Battlefront 2, but of course, the monetization happened to be in that first few months of the game, and that of course really killed a lot of the hype for the game. But over the time, they redeemed itself because of all the bad PR. So it eventually, I've always enjoyed Battlefront 2. I thought that stuff in the beginning of the first few months was nasty, but once they got rid of that, Battlefront 2 ended up being the great game that it always was supposed to be. It's a fun game, and there's a lot of modes. What's up?
What was the stuff in the beginning?
Oh man.
microtransactions.
There
Was
was
that
like
the microtransaction thing? Okay.
Yes. The microtransactions, the serious microtransactions that they had. Yeah. So a lot of people worried about Fallen Order, worried about microtransactions. It was like, no, it was a single player adventure, didn't have any of that stuff, and ended up being a great game. Respawn did a great job with that. So EA games were coming up, right? But at the same time, you can't escape the fear when they do it, because EA is capable of making really good games, but there's always the worry that they'll do some kind of sneaky, dirty stuff in there. So that's the first reason why I'm happy that Star Wars is going just beyond EA. I mean, Star Wars is a big franchise. Why would it be tied to just one video game developer anyway? I never thought that. I thought that was kind of a backwards thing to begin with. EA is not the only one capable of making a good Star Wars game, or a bad one for that matter, but that's another subject.
Can I comment on that really quick?
Go ahead.
Maybe.
If I'm not mistaken, this game is also going to be a part of the Star Wars canon. So I feel like
Yes.
one of the reasons,
Yes.
So I think that one of the reasons you want to keep your game in the same area is because you want to, or at least Lucasfilm Games is going to want to have some. You don't want to have a bunch of different studios working on a bunch of different titles for one franchise. Some of it's canon, some of it's not. People don't know what they're getting into.
Hold on. Counterpoint.
I'm done.
Counterpoint to that real quick. So that doesn't worry me as much, because ever since Disney bought Star Wars, what they did was, first off, when Disney bought Star Wars was kind of a lawless thing when it came to anything beyond the films. You could pretty much make any book, video game you wanted, and they would do their best to try to not step on anyone's toes, but there is so much stuff that conflicted with each other. So Disney was like, what is all this nonsense? Get rid of all of it. Only the movies and Clone Wars are canon. But since then, they've made a dedicated story group to keep track of everything that's being come out. Now it's way harder to make a Star Wars story, but that's a good thing, because you have to make sure it doesn't conflict with anything. And if you want to do that connectivity in the story thing, that's good. So that being said, Battlefront 2, Fallen Order, and Squadrons are all canon to the storyline. They all actually, they're not and they do have connections to other Star Wars stories. So with that group in place, I'm not as worried about other game studios getting their hands on Star Wars because they'll have to do the same thing that everyone else that making a Star Wars story is doing and making sure they don't step on any toes of anybody. So one last thing I'll say about this before I pass the baton is Ubisoft making a Star Wars game. Ubisoft, they're really good at making open world games. Now, when they were making Assassin's Creed games, you could argue that there was a bit too many of them coming out, so there's like burnout and such. But I think that Star Wars is a big enough property that if they oversee it, I think it could turn out really well. I think they'll make a really good game. What do you have to say, Jerel?
Nothing.
You like some?
I think it's so crazy that you said. What are three good Ubisoft open world games?
Oh, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs 2. I haven't played Legion or the first one. Those are the only two, honestly, because I've only played
okay.
I don't play a lot of Ubisoft
Far Cry?
games. I just know I haven't played Far Cry.
Far Cry is not open world.
Yeah, it is.
It is open world.
Far Cry is open world.
You know what? Fine. I just have such a love-hate relationship with Ubisoft. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is great, and then a lot of times I'm like, what? Like, especially the Far Cry franchise is such a great example. Like they have so many opportunities to do amazing things, and then they back out and they make it something that it's not. And if that's any indication, it's going to be like, oh, they had a bunch of really cool shit they could have done with Star Wars, and they backed out and gave us basic shit. Obviously, I don't know. I'm just like real conflicted about Ubisoft.
Yeah, I mean,
being
here's
like
the thing.
And so I made that face because you were like, oh yeah, Ubisoft. I'm like, I don't know, because a lot of their stuff is hit or miss. It's usually either great or bad.
But here's the thing: their highs are like really high, and I think with Star Wars, I don't personally feel there's any reason to like really like. It could be bad. It could be bad. I ain't gonna say that it's gonna be a certain hit, no doubt. But I have enough. I won't even say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm just optimistic. I think it'll turn out really well. And they could prove me wrong, but for now, I'm saying I'm on the side of hope. I think it'll be good when it comes out.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Gabe, are you liking Valhalla?
Oh, dude. Again, I tweeted this.
He's so happy. He would love the Star Wars game.
I tweeted this a while ago, but I don't know. I think it's due into fact to my midlife, my quarter life crisis. But I've fallen into this like weird obsession with Vikings, and playing Valhalla is it's amazing. Like I have the PS4 version, and there's some things like you can notice some questionable bugs, but like the game itself, the setting, and like is it proper to say the Viking culture? Yeah, right. Like the way they bring about the Viking culture into the game it's astounding. And I've played other Assassin's Creed games before. I played the first one. I played the Ezio collection. I played their other two more recent ones, Odyssey and Origins. And I'm gonna just say, out of their more recent, out of the three more recent ones, bringing in really well-known cultures into their game and mixing it with their Assassin's Creed stuff, Valhalla so far has been doing the best out of what I've played. It's so fantastic. The world design is amazing. The traveling, getting around the world, because they're Vikings. So you think Vikings, you think ships. They have their ships that they raid in. And I thought it was going to be like, you hop in the boat and then the game just automatically, I was going to say drives you, automatically rows you to where you need to be. You get to control the boat. You get, as you're, in the boat, you can ask them to start singing. You can tell them to stop. They'll start telling you Viking stories. And then you have certain commands when you reach a settlement that you can attack. You can either sail by it, or you can press, I think it's triangle, and it'll raid. And instead of the boat just shifting towards the settlement and all your warriors getting ready to fight, your main character, whichever one you choose, pulls out the Viking horn, the war horn, and blows it. And it's the small things like that they put into Valhalla that really bring the game to life. So in short, yeah, I'm enjoying the game.
Okay, thanks. To clarify, I think that Ubisoft makes good games, because I know it sounds like I'm a hater. I just don't think that, I know I always sound like a hater. I don't think a lot of their stories live up to the games that they can create.
I can agree with
And
that.
for me, an open
Yeah,
world
sure.
Star Wars game should, like, to me, be about the Star Wars story, because I think Star Wars is,
Yes.
if it's not going to be a Battlefront or a Battlefield and it's going to be canon, it should be about the Star Wars story. And a lot
Yeah.
of times, one of the reasons
Agreed.
I'm not so into Star Wars is because a lot of times the stories can be fucked up. Like, look at this latest trilogy. Like, I thought it started out really great and then it became trash.
Agreed.
And so a
Brian
company
Johnson.
that will, a company that'll make things like, Far Cry 6, for example, that's coming up, like, they're going to try to tackle some serious issues. How serious will they make it? Who knows? Like, Valhalla. I've heard complaints about Valhalla. Like, why is Assassin's Creed still going to this whole we're in a simulation thing? Because that pulls people out of the game when you go from being the Viking back to the whole simulation story thing. And I think that when you make, Ubisoft is very, like, the games are great, but sometimes story decisions and plot points aren't their strongest. And so for an open world game, I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that you should be looking for. And I don't know if they can handle it, but I think their games are really good. So that should be me clarifying that. I don't think they make bad games.
It's to go off one of the points you said about the simulation thing about being a Viking and then coming out of the simulation. I don't like that. I agree with you that, but after playing the games, especially Valhalla, to me, I know it's not the best way to do it, but it kind of feels like that's when they're telling you, like, okay, you've been playing the game a while, take a little break.
Oh, okay.
No, I know,
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
Because in my personal experience, when I started playing the game, you start off a Viking, you don't start off with a simulation ship stuff. So but I'm playing the game, and I'm really immersed in it, and then all of a sudden, it's like, it cuts to the cutscene where you're coming out of the simulation. I'm like, save game, turn off. And when I look at the time, it's
has to babysit you.
Yeah, I guess, because I looked at the time
can't-
and I had been playing for a while. But that's the
Okay.
thing, though. Yeah, but again, that's my interpretation over it. But to talk more about the Star Wars thing, I actually didn't know it was going to be a canon storyline until you said it. So I was gonna say I really hope the story isn't post Clone Wars, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm tired of post Clone Wars. When I think Star Wars, I think lightsabers, Jedi, and Sith. I don't think blasters. So I'm burnt out over seeing everything that happens after Darth Vader dies. It would be cool though, not after Darth Vader dies, after Revenge of the Sith. It would be cool if this open world game, and I know this would be a big project for Ubisoft, is revolved around Darth Vader, because we have the Darth Vader comics, and a lot of people, after Obi-Wan got his own show, they're like, oh, we should get a Vader movie, because there's actually a lot of Vader content that could go into making a movie or a show. But shit, if you're gonna put it in a game when you have someone as powerful as Darth Vader, I think that'd be the best way to capture Vader and his power, at the height of his power. But if it's not gonna be a Vader game, a lot of people have been asking for a Knights of the Republic game, which isn't. The fans say it's canon, but Disney says no, it's not.
Knights of the Republic is not canon anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it'd be cool if they went back into that and kind of made what's his name, Darth Raven, whatever. Revan. If they made something off of him, I'm gonna be overly optimistic. One of the bad because Ubisoft is Ubisoft. I've only played their Assassin's Creed game and Scott Pilgrim, but another game that they made that they were marketing that was going to be big, it was going to be a really good game, it was something we've never played before, was For Honor, and I played it. The story,
I have it.
The story was mid at best, but the gameplay itself, like the game itself,
So
was
good.
When it first came out,
For Honor is very much one of those games that's either love the gameplay or hate the gameplay.
But the thing is, at the beginning I was like, and I sold the game back to GameStop, but I recently downloaded it again last year, and it's one of those games where the developer was like, well, we dropped the ball when it came out. Let's put some time in it. Let's. What the hell is that word? I'm sorry, it's late. I'm getting tired. Tighten up. Let's refine some of the game's better mechanics and go off from there. And again, obviously, it's a Star Wars open world game. You wouldn't want that in the beginning, but I put my fruits in a basket with Ubisoft. I said that saying wrong, but
I mean, they have
Eggs in
cool
a
things
basket.
like they have Mario and Rabbids, which is like they're great
Yeah.
with working with people. If that's any indication, like Nintendo
Sure.
and Ubisoft have a great relationship. They have amazingly fun, stupid things like Just Dance. Like everybody loves Just Dance. So
Hell yeah.
but both of those are not open world story driven stuff. Like they
Right.
have Immortals Phoenix Rising, and everyone praises the gameplay of that game. The Breath of the Wild clone, but I have not seen anyone being like, oh yeah, the story for this is amazing. Like it's just been like, well, it's a drag sometimes. The gameplay is fun, and then it becomes a drag. I haven't even heard anyone talk about the story, so it's like, I don't know. Kelly, Star Wars open world game by Ubisoft. How you feeling?
I don't really go for the single player Star Wars games, to be honest. I played Battlefront because I want either
War.
shooter player versus player, or I want like an MMO, like a Star Wars MMO. Like that's what I want, and that's what I've realized that I want from games. Unless it's horror, it's scary, single player is fine. Even though Outlast Trials hopefully this year, yeah, that's multiplayer. So like if it's a scary game, I want like single player is fine, I'll play it, but like a single player Star Wars, I don't know that I would be into it. Like I feel like we have Gabe who's like excited, and then Brandon's like, I don't know, I'm pretty excited, and I'm like, I don't really care, just because I don't know. Is that all we know? Open world Star Wars game? What does that give me?
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's it. We don't even know what era this is gonna be in.
Yeah. So
Hopefully
I
not
really
post Clone Wars.
It like honestly, I do agree with Gabe, just because can't they see we want more Darth Vader content? Like every Star Wars
His daddy
fan,
Vader. His name literally means Dark Father.
Every Star Wars fan wants Darth Vader content. If you give that to me, I'll buy your game. If you don't, I might not. I might skip it. Who knows? I don't know when it'll be out or what it'll be about. I guess I'll make my final decision later, but whatever. I like Star Wars. I'm not in love with it anymore like I was. So this is kind of like a gray area for me at the moment.
I'll say this real quick. Go ahead. You go first.
Back a little off Kelly. What she said about when she wants to play a Star Wars game, she wants that war aspect, the shooter aspect. That's something that I think Ubisoft doesn't have to pay attention to, because Star Wars is a world that's filled with aliens and and different battles and stuff. And I will say about when I played, what the hell was that? The Respawn one, Fallen Order. Something I did notice, like even though I was playing as a Jedi, something I did notice was it felt a little empty at times. And again, if you're gonna make a single player open world Star Wars game, you're gonna have to fill it. And it's something I think I talked about. It's something else I talked about on Twitter.
It's gonna be hard.
For comparison, like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild is a single player open world game, and it's at times it feels empty. But then I played Age of Calamity, which is the same world, the same characters. But since it's a Tecmo, they did a good job of, they gave you the same world, but they filled it with so many different characters that it felt alive for the, and that's saying something for a Zelda game. So I think that's something Ubisoft has to pay attention to, is how they fill that open world game.
Yeah. And I'll jump on that point real quick and also say my thing real quick. With Fallen Order, one thing that game could kind of get away with was that game was not open world. It was actually very more Metroid Prime / Dark Souls themed, where you were going to these different planets, but you're going through very much Metroid Prime levels. Like it's not like you can go anywhere that you can see. Like there's very specific paths you can take in each planet to go around, and that's how that game was designed. It wasn't designed for you to go anywhere, and the planets were more like levels than worlds. Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, if this is going to be an open world Star Wars game, what does that mean? Are you only going to be in one planet of the game and just like really flesh that out, or are you going to multiple planets and then each of the like kind of that's something that I'm curious to see, and I hope they figure that out. And the last thing I'll say on the subject is regarding the story. It really just depends on who's working on it, because there are people that work on Star Wars that care, like the people that make The Mandalorian, and then there's people that don't care, and then there's people that don't care, like the people that made the
Rian Johnson.
Yeah, like I had a long conversation with like two of my friends like a few days after New Year's about Star Wars. About you can tell when people care about Star Wars and when they don't. Like the sequel trilogy was very much made because they want money, because people want a new trilogy. Then you have the Mandalorian, Rogue One, and Solo, which are more, you can tell are regardless of whether you like them or not, they're passion projects. They care, and that's why all that stuff happens in those movies / TV shows. So there's definitely a difference. And I want to give Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt and say they do care. And I just hope that in addition to caring, that they also understand Star Wars. And that's really what it's going to come down to. I think at the end of the day, this is probably going to be a really enjoyable game. It's just like you said, Jerel. It's all just dependent on whether or not the story can match up to the gameplay. That's the only real concern I have.
Let's just hope there's not a dev over there that's like the devs at Dead by Daylight, who's just like, leave me alone about the Star Wars shit.
Yeah.
Well,
let's not have any
Battlefront had colorblind mode, like on release. Legit, it did. So
It did. I did. I can attest to that.
I was just talking about a developer that doesn't care for Star
That's a
Wars.
dick.
Just kind of throws shit together.
Yeah.
That would be me. Like, I'm working on a Star Wars game. All right, cool, whatever. But I mean, hopefully this new Star Wars open world game pulled me in and proves me wrong. But speaking of scary games, because Kelly was talking about how she loves scary games, I'm going to close out with this, which is Ninja Theory has an upcoming psychological horror game called Project Mara, which will take place entirely in a single upscale apartment with some serious technology being utilized to create incredible realistic textures, lighting, and more. That's over from IGN. Ninja Theory, obviously, they make Senua's Sacrifice, and I think that's what their biggest titles for, and they were purchased by Xbox, right? The studio was purchased by Xbox recently.
They were.
They're now a part of Xbox Game Studio. So, of course, we're looking forward to a really scary first-person title coming to Xbox, depending on, obviously, how scary it is. People have said that it's, first of all, Project Mara appears to follow a young woman plagued by mental terror based on real accounts and research. So there's that. And, anyone who's actually played Senua's Sacrifice knows that they take their research very seriously when they're working on issues in video games. So this to me just sounds like it's going to be even scarier. People are getting a lot of PC vibes from it because, the whole apartment hallway thing, which that was another crazy issue. So that's coming out. And of course we had the Resident Evil showcase today, which we got a trailer for Resident Evil 8. We got some gameplay for Resident Evil 8. We got
Where's the big woman?
Reverse.
Thank you.
Reverse, yeah. RE-verse.
A great
RE-verse,
name.
right. That is a really good name, though. That's a great
They
name.
are with the naming. Yes, they are with the naming on point. They have
Xbox,
just been killing it.
Take notes, Xbox.
Yeah.
I saw people talking shit about it, but I thought it was great. I was like, stop it. I was like,
they're talking shit about what?
The characters, the name. I thought it was great.
Name?
Reverse, all the characters.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the name is great.
They're insane.
We've got the movie coming out to Netflix, the animated CG movie. The Maiden is a demo that's available on PS5 right now. Stop it. Which you can go download. Anyway, I gotta stretch my leg out and let my cat out. So how are you guys feeling about Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village, and all the RE stuff? Yes.
I have a quick question. That game you're talking about, the horror one that's in an apartment, was that showcased? That was showcased in E3, right?
No.
Or am I thinking of a different game?
You're thinking of a different game. I'm pretty sure it was not showcased in E3.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Well, I, for one, watched the showcase earlier today because I am a Resident Evil fan, and I thought it was wonderful. The big woman, obviously, but I just, literally looking at, the girls that are, turning into flies, so I guess, the vampires turning into, bugs, I was like, this is sexy, for one. For two, it was really giving me... Okay, so it was really giving me the kind of the Resident, because it is very similar to Biohazard, which was Resident Evil 7, and it's different than 6. So I feel like 6 back is a totally different era of Resident Evil, and this is a new dawn from 7 Biohazard, and I like it a lot. And I played 7 before I really played a lot of scary games, and it messed me up. I was taking vodka shots in the middle of the day to try to get through it, because I was so terrified. But it like kind of builds that in you, whereas the other ones like, oh, ooh, zombies. Like Resident Evil 7 was legit horror. Like you're walking down a hallway, it's dark, it's terrifying. It took on like that survival horror, really scary like kind of thing. And I think that's what they're gonna do with Village. It'll still have the Resident Evil monsters and stuff, whatever. They usually have decent storylines. I was really impressed with the quality of the look that was showcased. Even in the gameplay, I mean, the chair had gold trim and it was like shining. I was like, this looks like I'm looking at it sitting in front of me. Like it looks so good. If I have to buy a new PC to play it in like the highest def, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. It looks so good, and it just looks like just what I've been like kind of waiting for. I've been feeling stale with the games I have. Like now I'm like looking forward to this, and I'm very excited about more Resident Evil because, like I said, 7 was amazing to me, and I think this one's going to be also amazing. And of course, the naming conventions. I mean, look at that Village with the 8 in it. It's just sexy.
I know.
And the RE-verse, like I would definitely play the RE-verse. Like it just looks like cool and interesting. Like they have a new idea. Like they are putting new things out, but it's still like nostalgic enough and Resident Evil that you're like, okay, it's within the theme of the game, but it's something new that we haven't seen. So it's definitely interesting, and I'm really looking forward to this.
I'll go really quick. RE-verse kind of looks like trash, but like quality wise, like it's a very, come on, it is a very
but it's like a side project. I mean, it's not like it's not even like a real thing. It's like just like a side project. They're like, you can have this as a treat, like that. So
yes. So that's what I was actually going to get to. Like, it looks really like a side project, but also it looks like a lot of fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm excited to play it. It's literally like a free, here, play with your friends as your favorite Resident Evil characters. And that part, I was like, oh, totally 100% down to do that, because that reminds me of like Resident Evil 5 or Resident Evil 6. Those, like you said, a different era in which, you know, we're able to play more of an action horror type game, whereas 7 is like straight up horror. I've never finished it. Don't plan on finishing it. I literally got to like the beginning where I'm at the table and I know this guy's coming down the hallway and I'm like, nope, I can't. I literally can't pass it. And I'm at broad daylight. Like I cannot.
Yeah.
I can't.
Middle of the day
play. I physically cannot. Like I can't play that game. But I think it's really cool, you know, the tie-ins from older games into how Biohazard and Village is going to be. And we already know that Village is a part of, obviously, Biohazard. You're playing as the same character. You're seeing familiar characters. Chris is going to be there. Chris is fine. I don't even... Never mind. Let me... Woo! The point was, I am not going to play this, but I am super excited to watch other people play it. Because I think the conventions are really cool. Like the character designs are really like those plague women. I was like, oh, they're so disgusting. Like give them to me in my face. But then, you know, I'm also really squeamish. So like, shut up. Don't make that face. I'm really squeamish. So like when they stab him in the leg and like drag him, I was like, oh my god, he just walked through the door. Like I can't deal with this. I just walked through the fucking front door, bro. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see what Resident Evil has in store. I won't lie, I am a little disappointed that this is their anniversary stuff. Like I really thought we were gonna get, I guess, more for the anniversary than just Resident Evil Village, RE-verse, and a movie. I know a lot of people were hyping up and hoping that we would get a Resident Evil 4 remake. We did get 2 and 3. 4 remake was not announced. This is, I don't know, like for 25th anniversary, it was like 15 minutes. I was expecting a lot more, but I was very happy with what I did see. And it doesn't matter what I want because I'm not playing that shit anyway. And that's me. What about you guys?
Well, I would hold off on saying that's all their anniversary stuff because their actual anniversary is March 22nd. So they might be waiting for that day to give you guys more stuff. But
but they just had an entire, they just had, like, the whole point of this was to talk about not just Resident Evil Village, but, like, Resident Evil series for the 25th anniversary.
Well, yeah,
now,
but,
you're right. They could show more stuff, but if there was a time, it was today.
It could be the little sprinkles before the cake. But no, like, I don't play scary games. I only play Phasmophobia, and that's because my friends forced me to. But I did play Resident Evil 1 and 2 when I was a lot younger. I don't remember the game. It's probably good because probably scared the shit out of me. But I didn't see the trailer either. But when I went on to Twitter and I searched up Resident Evil to try and make a tweet out of it, the first tweet I saw was the big woman. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. She was in all white. She had a white big hat, beautiful face, bigger than the other women she was around. She is deemed the big woman. Every time I think of her, I will be thinking about Tormund from Game of Thrones when he's looking for Brienne and he says, "Is the big woman still here?" She's my big woman. And look, if I have to connect my system in the living room where we have 2 windows in front, a window behind, and the dogs down there and my entire family sitting around for me to play that game, I will play that game for a big woman.
Oh
All
my
I'm gonna
gosh.
say. She has convinced me to play the game. I don't even know her. She has a name apparently, but it's just big woman to me. And I'm excited to play the game just for her. That's it.
Oh, cool. I'm actually downloading the demo right now.
You're not gonna
So
play it.
next podcast, you guys can. No, I'm gonna play the demo because I don't have to fight or defend myself. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
fine.
it's just a story
Like,
thing.
it's literally just like visual. Like, look how good this game's gonna look on PS5, and that's the only
Screenshots
reason I'm
of the
playing
big
it because
woman.
I'm a graphics whore. I mean, if she's in here, I will take screenshots of her.
Thank you.
But I'm totally gonna play through the demo because I'm a graphics whore. But because I don't have to actually play the game, there's no way I'm playing 8. If I do, I will probably die. So peace out, podcast. Brandon.
I don't have too much to say. The game definitely looked pretty good. Pretty good. I saw I didn't see the entire trailer, unfortunately. Like I was doing a few things, but from what I saw, it does look very good. Resident Evil is a series that I've always wanted to get to, but I haven't really done so. Like I played a bit of 1, got stuck on puzzles, and didn't go back to it. 4 I really enjoyed from what little I played of it. I got past the initial village, and I just wanted to keep going. But I didn't own the game. I actually borrowed it from a friend. He needed it back, so that didn't happen. I'll get back to it one day because I actually really enjoyed 4. And I actually played a lot of Resident Evil Revelations on my Wii U of all things, and I really enjoyed that one. So it's a series I definitely do want to get into. Like I'm not as squeamish as Jerel, but horror does get me. It just depends on what kind of horror it is. Like I've said this before on the podcast. I can't do pure horror. I like survival horror. So Resident Evil is something I can do for sure. Even if it's really scary, as long as I can defend myself with a melee weapon or a gun, I can usually handle it.
I will tell you right now, Resident Evil 7.
I've seen 7.
You cannot defend yourself.
I've seen 7.
You were just gonna die.
No, I've
Like,
seen 7. I've seen a lot of 7 gameplay. Yeah.
Like, okay, spoiler alert, but like first 30 minutes in that game, your limbs get sawed off. Like, Brett,
Oh yeah,
like
I know.
you
I know.
cannot defend like that.
I know you are at the
was
mercy
like,
of the Baker
how am I
family. Yeah.
supposed to play? Like,
Yeah.
I'm clearly not gonna survive.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy. My first Resident Evil was actually Resident Evil 5, obviously because there was a black girl in it. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. And then I played with friends, so that was even better because, I can play with people. Playing by myself is just not going to happen. And then I played RE6, which was kind of trash. I did RE2, which was scary. I think it was 2, right? Did it say it was 2? With the Lickers and Claire and Chris.
Yeah.
That was such a struggle to get through. Oh my god, it was so hard to play. Like, I played as whatever. This is going on long, so I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, are there any other last minute Resident Evil or horror things you guys want to put out, or anything else before we wrap up?
Nope.
No.
Big woman.
Nope. All right. Okay. Next week I will have impressions on Resident Evil Maiden, the PS5 demo, if I can get through it, if I am not scared. We'll see about that. And thank you guys for listening. Also, we're going to have some surprises coming up for our Patreon people and for anyone who watches the show soon-ish, maybe as soon as next week. We'll see. But until then, continue to watch, subscribe. You can write to us on Twitter at @critical_HP, or you can email us at hpcritical gaming, hpcriticalgaming@gmail.com. Sorry, it's really tired. I'm really tired. We're recording this really late. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for being my wonderful co-host for another week, and we will see you all later. Bye, everybody.
Big woman.
Bye.
Big woman.
Let's go! HP Critical!